Hey guys, it's Gala Avery from the Video Archives podcast. While we're shuffling tapes and gearing up for season 2, Quentin and Roger have sent me on a mission all around Los Angeles and beyond to talk with filmmakers, photographers, VHS collectors, and other interesting characters. What are we going to be talking about? Well, that's up for my guests to decide. On The Gala Show, guests have 30 minutes to talk about whatever topic they want you to know about. Filmmakers like Josh Miller will tell us how he found his tribe, while writers like Larry Karaszewski will let you know what he considers to be a true LA movie. VHS collectors like Connor Holt make an argument for the genre of pirate movies, while writers like Josh Olson are going to let us in on what he considers to be right-wing cinema. Actors like Percy Hines White will share his love of outsider art, while animators and cartoonist Sierra Nielli will reminisce on his experiences of growing up in a Philly pizza shop and how this time in his life influenced him to pick up a pencil. So, join me every Thursday for a new guest with an entirely new topic. The Gala Show premieres October 26th. Available wherever you get your podcasts. On this episode of the Video Archives podcast, Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery enter the world of fashion with Lamont Johnson's revenge-a-matic lipstick. A fashion model is brutally raped by her kid sister's music teacher. When she takes him to court, she finds that she will have to take justice into her own hands. Roger and Quentin discuss the genius of casting real-life sisters Margaux and Mariel Hemingway, the intensity a score can bring to a film, and kindly remind us all that lipstick isn't always an invitation to kiss. Next, Quentin and Roger jump into the ring with Carl Reiner's studio comedy The One and Only. Andy Schmidt is a larger-than-life college student with dreams of becoming an actor. But when he finally makes it to New York, he finds that no one respects his talent. That is, until he accidentally invents show wrestling. Listen as Quentin and Roger quote memorable lines from the film, discuss standout performances from Henry Winkler and Kim Darby, and reveal what it's really like to be an outsider in the ring, waiting to hear the applause. Lastly, we wade into the canals of Venice Beach to find the monster that is Slithis, or Spawn of the Slithis, depending on who you ask. In this 1978 love letter to the city of Venice Beach, a nuclear leak has created a sea monster who terrorizes pets, winos, and hippies, leading a high school journalism teacher to solve the mystery of Slithis. Roger and Quentin talk about the importance of film as a historical time capsule and the art of filling your world with unique characters. I'm your girl Gala Avery, and joining us now, here's Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery.
Thanks a lot for that wonderful intro, Gala. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's kill the Bacalov. And welcome, everybody, to the Video Archives podcast. I'm Quentin Tarantino.
And I am Roger Avery.
And today we have 3 exciting picks to talk about.
Pulled by Quentin from the shelves of Video Archives.
Absolutely. And first up, coming from the in the drama section under L, is a movie that I cannot believe I had waited this long to see, but I'm glad I did.
Good things come to those that wait.
Paramount Home Video called Lipstick, directed by a director I'm a big fan of, Lamont Johnson, who also did a One-on-One and The Mackenzie Break and the Ground Star Conspiracy.
And he did this in 1976.
Falls into a genre, actually 2 subgenres that I'm a fan of, revenge-a-matics and the rape-revenge genre. Yeah, which manages to be have one foot in both subgenres.
Genres you have always loved.
I'm a big fan of the rape-revenge genre and a big fan of the revenge-a-matic.
You're about to see a scene from Lipstick, a controversial new film about today's most explosive subject.
Every human being has the right of simple consent, even women.
Do you think I should testify?
Yes, of course I think you should testify. You've been raped.
The story of a woman's outrage and a woman's revenge. You've never seen anything like Lipstick, rated R.
Okay, so now, here's the back of the box for Lipstick. Margaux Hemingway makes her film debut as a high fashion model who is violated as much by the system as she is by her rapist. Chris Sarandon, Dog Day Afternoon, plays the low-key music teacher who brutally attacks her and forces her to the point of desperation and revenge. As Margaux's lawyer, Anne Bancroft, the slender thread, the miracle worker, gives a brilliant, uncompromising portrayal of a woman who takes on the legal system in an attempt to define the rights of women in this complex and controversial issue. Director Lamont Johnson, A Gunfight, guides the film to its shocking and violent conclusion after convincing the audience that, in some cases, only after a rape occurs does the real horror story begin. I remember when this film came out, I remember the ads on TV. It was sort of like rape had been dealt with to some degree in a lot of different films up until this time, but it really was only TV movies that focused in on rape as like the subject for the entire film. I think Liz Montgomery did one called Cry Rape. That was a big hit in the early 70s. But this was actually the first studio film to deal with the subject of rape as a big studio motion picture. Now, the thing that was actually interesting that I remember talking about with Rogers was it had a wonderful ad campaign, and I remember the TV spots a lot. It showed you a bit of how you thought the film would go. Is this going to be the rape? The rapist will be in court and he'll present himself as a more innocent type person. There'll be a doubt cast on Margaux Hemingway, the lead character. And it also would show how, she's basically almost being raped a second time going through the legal process in the court of law. Mm-hmm. But it suggested that there will be a comeuppance, because then it would cut to the title treatment of Lipstick and you would hear an automatic rifle go off. But it never showed a scene from the climax. I mean, but
it only implied it.
Yeah, there only was an implication of where the plot would go, but there was never any scene, never any shot, never any still. So this was, and that's almost unheard of for a revenge-a-matic. So we went into watching this movie literally not knowing exactly how it was going to end in its last 15 minutes.
Completely. Now, I knew nothing about it, and though
you had heard of it before.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean, I had rented this tape to people. To be honest, the box is so beautiful and graphic and well designed, and it's one of these amazing Paramount Home Video fold open boxes, which I had forgotten about. And when you showed me the box, I was like, "Oh, Lipstick! I remember that." It kind of always, I just had thought it was just like kind of a B-level exploitation movie. When we'd been renting it, I hadn't really thought about the movie, to be honest, that much. And then you showed me the box, and then you opened it up, because it opens up, showing the Paramount
Mountain.
Yeah, their branding on the inside, and then it's like they really cared.
The Paramount boxes are truly a thing of beauty of this era,
like a graphic designer's dream.
Yeah, it's like when you look at I'm also a fan of the Warner Brothers boxes with their arbitrary catalog stills just stuck on their green background,
almost randomly,
completely randomly.
But this is like an actual graphic design.
Well, yeah.
Study.
What makes it special is they would take the one sheets and beautifully conform them to the size of
the new style of packaging,
to a video cassette. And I'm sitting here holding the Lipstick box in my hand. This is art directed. They cared. Somebody spent time to do it the right way. And if you go through all the Paramount boxes of this time period, they all have that look.
And two of the movies we saw this week were in Paramount boxes, and I noticed both of them were like that, and it was like, wow, look at, and both of them are different, but they're the same, and there's like they're unified, yet they have their own personality. It's great.
No, if you look at the early box for Love Story, look at the early box for Little Darlings. I mean, they're all uniform to a T. They're really terrific. So, Roger, what was your take on Lipstick when we watched it?
I happened to dig up a Franklin Browner review of this.
Oh, you did? I can't wait to read it.
I'll read in the voice of Bill Margold.
Okay, great.
But it basically is directly aligned and influenced my opinion.
Okay.
Gaspar Noé once said about the rape scene in his film Irreversible, "The rape has to be disgusting to be useful." The rape in Lipstick achieves that lowly aspiration, thanks in no small part to the disturbing source music in the film, composed within the film by a rapist teacher who ascends artistically and professionally, despite accusations made against him in a court of law by a professional lipstick model, who in turn is treated by the public no better than the whore of consumerist culture. Even her young sister on trial, played with depth and excellence by a preteen Mariel Hemingway, who the prosecutor explains that some adults like certain kinds of violent sex, entering it into public record as fact. The music teacher's deviant, pedophile, and predatory behavior is not only allowed to continue, but is rewarded until he finally hurts someone she loves more than herself, leading her to the only human conclusion possible, hunting this child rapist down like a wild animal and laying him down before he accepts a teaching position at the local Catholic girls' school. Okay, so that's like Franklin Browner's take on the movie. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what to expect entering into this, like you didn't, I guess. You know, neither of us did. And when it began, Lamont Johnson, like, he's a TV director. He's like an old-time TV director. He's like a Frankenheimer style. He was doing fairy tale theater, like, you know, look, Jack and the Beanstalk.
Wow, but no, he also did.
That was a good one. That was a good one, by the way.
Well, he also did one of the best TV movies of the 70s, The Execution of Private Slovak, with Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
And he did the first movie about homosexuality on TV, That Certain Summer.
There's an approach to the violence that's occurring in this movie that somehow makes it watchable as if it's mass entertainment. But at the same time, it's freaking disturbing. Like, this is like a guy who's been making things for a long time. And he chooses.
It's a big Paramount movie about a rough subject, and it's meant to be a hard, powerful movie. It's meant to be along the lines of like Straw Dogs. It's meant to be along the lines of a Deliverance.
With a child. Yeah. I mean, it's intense.
We can talk about if the rape revenge ruins its seriousness towards the subject matter. I think a case can be made as far as that's concerned.
Wait, that the rape revenge...
Well, but the fact that basically it's an exploitation movie done by Paramount, all prettied up and done by Paramount, masquerading as a social issue drama. Because it's not quite ready to be as serious about his subject as you can tell that the screenwriters and the movie wants to be. Because the script is done by David Raphael, who is Sidney Pollack's main go-to guy. He writes most of his scripts. And the film has a very interesting patina.
Well, you compared it like to a Tony Scott film at numerous points throughout it. You were like, this is so stylish, and it is.
It is very stylish,
stylish,
and it bears comparison to that Tony Scott style, even though it's not exactly it, but it's definitely a precursor to the Tony Scott style. And Lamont Johnson does a pretty good job with the film because he's never really been able to, except for maybe the Mackenzie break, he wasn't able to actually inject that much style into his previous movies before because they just weren't appropriate for it. But this gives him an opportunity to do, almost like an American Giallo.
Well, I was getting like some Star 80 vibes, to be honest, out of it. And I turned to you at some point, I think it was when it became a courtroom drama, which is like the middle third.
Yeah.
And I turned to you and I said, is this a real story? Did this really happen? Mm-hmm. And you were like, no, they just made this up. It's like a fable.
Yeah. But
that's like the seriousness with which they take it.
And I think Margaux Hemingway, who is interesting, she never really followed her performance in this up with anything super substantial. She would like appear in this movie and she'd appear in that movie. She'd appear on this TV show. She'd appear in that TV show. She was kind of famous for being this famous, beautiful model and for being the granddaughter of Ernest Hemingway. I think she's pretty fucking good in this movie. I think she's really solid. It sounds like faint praise, but you buy her as a world famous fashion model.
Well, she is. And not only that, they double down by hiring her sister to play her sister. Well, and which lends who delivers what I think is the best performance in the movie.
She's that
courtroom scene with her.
Mariel Hemingway is just fantastic. And the movie lucked out when they got like a double Hemingway sister act. Look, since Lipstick, I have seen this film, almost literally this film, dozens of times, whether it be on Lifetime or whether it be a more lowly exploitation movie or whether it's out of Italy or out of wherever. But there's something about Margaux Hemingway's performance in this. She's very distinctive.
Yeah.
Well, you buy her as a world-class model, but also she has that weird way of talking that where she kind of like strangling her words when she talks. She has this kind of a
chirps a little
lisp.
Yeah.
But it's charming and it's distinctive. Yeah. And it's her performance that makes the rape scene
she's
powerful.
Brave. I mean, think this is her first film, her bravery. Coming into this film and really throwing herself literally.
I would actually say the most haunting aspect of the entire movie. In fact, I can hear it. there hasn't been a day that has gone by since I've seen the movie that I hadn't thought about that moment right in the middle of the rape when she goes, "You're killing me."
Yeah.
That just sounds so real. And it seems like the most realistic thing I could have ever heard.
Felt like it could have been.
Especially since, I mean, he's like forcibly sodomizing her.
And honestly throwing her around a bit, and though it's obviously controlled, it's a Hollywood situation and everything, but man, she's controlling those falls and she's really going for it. And she's in it. She's inside of her performance.
Well, it's what the movie's about. I mean,
she may have been feeling that in that moment. That's why it feels realistic.
Yeah, it's a real good scene. All right. Now, where I think the film, where there's room for risability as far as the film is concerned, I think is the conception of the rapist character that Chris Sarandon plays. Now, Chris Sarandon actually he's doing a pretty good job. He's a good actor, but I could totally see a world where like De Niro was offered this part and Harvey Keitel was offered this part, and then them turning it down and Chris Sarandon saying yes to it. Now, he starts off interesting in the film, because part of the thing is he's a music teacher. And part of the thing about this story is that he's Mariel Hemingway, who's like 13 in the movie. He's her teacher. And she has a bit of a crush on him. And so she invites him to meet
like
her.
Like an innocent crush.
Yeah, yeah. She's a young girl with a crush on her teacher.
And she actually, I think, wants him to get together with her sister.
Yeah.
That's like her child dream.
Yeah, she's like, she has a crush on her handsome teacher, and so she invites him to meet.
To play his music for.
Well, she invites him in, especially to meet her famous sister, her world famous sister. And part of the idea that like, he's a composer and he's going to play some of this music for Margaux Hemingway's character. So you're like, oh, wow, this is kind of interesting. Travis Bickle as a composer. Okay, that kind of, which is how it comes across at first. And okay, that's an interesting idea. Until he plays the music, and it's so fucking ridiculous.
It's really
it's
weird.
Like, okay, what you would imagine the rape theme would be as he rapes her is literally the music that he records and that he plays through the rape. I mean, it's like,
well, that's what's going on inside of his head.
As if every composition is rape theme number 1. Then there's rape theme number 2, and then there's rape theme number 3, and then there's rape theme number 4. And I've got to say that one of my favorite parts of Mariel Hemingway's performance is she doesn't want to listen to the music at that given time. But okay, fine. And then he plays it, and the look on her face is like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, what is this shit? And she's happy when the phone rings and she can get away.
Happy when the phone rings. Like, I gotta go answer this. Whatever. Where he stops being able to be taken seriously as a serious character in this rape drama is when he turns into this smoothie movie villain after the rape is over. It's like, you could buy him just exploding and doing this, but I don't buy this kind of movie villain that he turns into after the rape is over. Now he's this real smoothie, and now he's not awkward at all. Actually, he's by far not awkward. Yeah, so he's a villain out of he might as well be a villain out of a Cannon movie. He could be he could be the guy in 10 to Midnight.
Yeah, he's like just a psychopath on the loose.
It's just, but now then the movie gets to its next big sequence, which is the courtroom scene. Which is the courtroom section of the movie. Now, again, I didn't buy. I've seen these kind of scenes done a zillion times before, and so I didn't quite buy the obviousness of how Mariel Hemingway is bulldozed over in the courtroom. I've seen that scene done a zillion times before, and I've seen it done more convincingly a zillion times before. It's just kind of, it's heavy-handed, and she's just bulldozed over. Now, I kind of knew that was going to be the case, but it's definitely the case. Now, the courtroom scene catches fire halfway through when it actually becomes Anne Bancroft, who's her lawyer, gets to cross-examine Chris Sarandon.
Right after you were like, this is just turning into a courtroom, suddenly Anne Bancroft showed up with conviction.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a the screenplay gets better. All right. All of a sudden the dialogue gets better. And you could actually tell that Anne Bancroft and Chris Sarandon actually vibed with each other. All right. During those scenes. And Chris Sarandon gets to become a good actor again. Yeah. And that's when his character starts becoming interesting. Now, and the way the courtroom section actually ends up, it actually ends up, on a powerful note. Then it gets to its third act, which, presents a situation where Mariel Hemingway falls into the clutches of Chris Sarandon's rapist character. And by this point, Mariel Hemingway's kid sister has practically wrestled the narrative from Margaux Hemingway's hands.
She's so good in that courtroom scene, especially there.
She's so good in the courtroom scene, and just and almost every scene afterwards.
Yeah.
It's always a little strange at the beginning when the movie just focuses in on her. But then at a certain point, it's not strange at all, because she literally is the co-protagonist of the film.
Her emotions of a child trying to grapple and understand all of these complex things that are happening play so much on her face. They're so upfront. It's so riveting to look at her perform in this movie.
And there's even just this wonderful dynamic between the two sisters. You have the one that's the beautiful fashion model. Then you have the obviously a little bit more tomboy one. All right. And that's an interesting dynamic between the two women. But then the screenplay almost stumbles on to a provocative idea in the case of Mariel Hemingway. On one hand, she 100% believes her sister account of what happened. She believes that her sister was raped. There's no question.
Even if she can't explain it, she believes
There's no question in her mind that her sister is telling the truth. She's actually even willing to lie on stand and suggest that she saw more than she did because she believes her sister so much. But the provocative thing in the story is, while she believes her sister, she does know the teacher. She's known him for a long time, for a kid a long time. And she had this crush on him. While she believes her sister, a little part of her can't believe he did it.
Yeah.
She doesn't think it's a mistake. But there's just a little part of her who can't believe that
she's an innocent.
He was capable of doing this
because she's innocent.
And then that leads to a scene when she goes to the school and sees that he's doing some sort of a school project with some dancers.
It's like a total Alan Parsons project.
Yeah. Well, no, exactly. No, he's totally this Alan Parsons project kind of.
He's succeeding
composer.
after that.
It's strange.
He's virile.
Well,
he's empowered.
That music is better than the music that we heard earlier. So it's like, well, why didn't you play this from?
And everyone's dancing to it. All of the girls in the school are into it. Yeah. The nuns want to give him an extra a 10-year job.
So all of a sudden now he's not a rapist. He might as well be Keith Emerson. All right. Ready to start Emerson and Lincoln Palmer.
Yeah.
All right.
And after being honest in court, she's barely able to keep a job. She's kind of tainted at this point.
Yeah. It suggests that her sleazy photographer boyfriend Perry King dumps her.
Yeah.
He was good to go. I was happy to see him go. All right. But then the scene between Chris Sarandon and Mariel Hemingway manages quite effectively to predate the similar scene in Scorsese's Cape Fear. For sure. All right, when Max Cady actually charms, is able to charm Juliette Lewis. Okay, but then, like the way this movie kind of is, it starts off really terrific. And then goes crazy with all the weird laser zappy shit, all right, that goes on. Like, what the fuck? The movie completely had me. And then all of a sudden, it got what the fuck is all this shit going on?
You're not so upset when she grabs a gun and starts...
No, that's different. That's different. But we're talking about...
You like that crazy when there's a gun in her hand.
We're talking about laserium, all right? What could possibly be the most challenging scene of the movie, laserium pops up, all right?
Yeah.
Having said all that, when she gets her high-powered rifle and goes after the fucking guy, the whole movie was fucking worth it. The whole goddamn movie was worth
I love that it's like a hunting rifle. It's like 40-aught. And she's out there
that ending was worth the whole goddamn film. I didn't care about any misstep it had up to then was completely rewarded.
She appropriately double taps him as you're meant to.
Absolutely. We were screaming right on.
Yeah. The only misstep was probably because we don't need it. I don't need a court of law to tell me that she's innocent at the end of the movie. That's irrelevant.
Yeah. No. The misstep just before the final freeze frame is hearing the verdict of the jury. It would have been stronger if we didn't know.
We let her off. Sometimes you have to take the law in your own hands.
Yeah. It would have been stronger if we didn't know the outcome. All right. And just... We should have written our own outcome. Now, I would have written she got off, but I didn't need to hear them say that she got off. But when it comes to that ending, man, I was like, right fucking on.
Oh, yeah. And especially when she runs around and he's already dead or dying and she shoots him again.
And especially because I hadn't seen it before, and I had a feeling that an automatic rifle would play part in it. And since we see her in a photograph skeet shooting with apparently her grandfather, all right, Ernest Hemingway, all right, I'm like, okay, I guess this automatic weapon thing's going to actually work out. All right. He's a famous duck hunter, all right, along with being a famous model. Oh, and the fact that she does it all dressed up in that red dress.
Yeah, she's wearing her fashion because she's in the middle of a fashion shoot.
She's in the middle of a fashion shoot. Her hair is done. Her lipstick.
She's wearing the dress of like a murderer in a Fritz Lang film.
Yes, and literally, she says, "Wow, this is the most beautiful dress I've ever put on in my whole career."
Yeah, and that's the one you're going to use to kill the rapist, the pedophile rapist.
Yeah, that you blast him. I looked at you like I cannot believe with all. How much I love Revenge-a-matics that I haven't seen this movie until just now.
We were howling at the end. We were like, it was such a great feeling at the end when finally this bastard gets his.
And she literally does the thing that you want to see in a Revenge-a-matic, like where she's got the gun, bam, 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 and now he's dead, and she's still shooting the dead body until she's dry firing. That's right, baby, unload.
Yeah, she dry fires in the end. She'd keep going if she could.
If she put in another clip, she would.
If Roger Avery had been directing, she probably would have used the gun as a club after running out of bullets and just bludgeon him until he's a pulpy mess.
So that is my take and my final verdict on Lipstick.
Well, it's a good verdict. I was curious about the music, and so I looked up the composer, Michel Polnareff, who is a French guy. So I looked him up. I looked up where he was at. I listened to his music. He was like a rock star. He's a rock star in France. Oh, very well known, very well loved, Johnny Hallyday style rock star.
Like Jean-Michel Jarre.
Yeah, a little bit like that. And so I listened to the song that he did just before this, which is called Jesus for Tonight, which was almost like, I don't know, if Oasis did country music. That's kind of what it sounded like. It did not sound at all anything like this kind of this electronic Ellen Parsons music that they had in it. So I was like, well, what the hell? So I looked a little further, and he had fled France because of tax evasion, because his business manager ripped him off and he owed taxes in France. And so he fled France and came to the United States. And I suspect it was David Foster who found him, the
producer,
who was they call him a music arranger on this, but I think that's like a music supervisor, at this time, at least on this film. And I kind of think we should probably credit David Foster a little bit, because I think he found this guy, knew that he was in trouble and looking for a gig, had no money, and gave him a job composing. I think somebody did. Yeah. And he stayed here ever since.
What else has he done?
Nothing that I know of.
No other movies?
No, just music. Just he's putting out albums. He's, as far as I know, he's still on tour. He's living in Palm Desert, I think.
Have you ever wondered what the lead singer of Smash Mouth, Zach Goody, feels about new versus old guys in music and cinema? Or how photographer Toasty Cakes makes his cinematic discoveries? What about the opinion of Rotten Tomatoes editor Jacqueline Coley and what she considers to be the new Hollywood shift of the streaming era? Join me, reporter on the beat Gala Avery, as I get to the bottom of these very questions. Starting on October 26th, I have a new guest on the mic every week. Yes, every Thursday, hear your favorite filmmakers, photographers, actors, models, and more talk about a topic that is near and dear to their heart that they want you to know about. You'd be surprised at what people are interested in. The Gala Show premieres October 26th with new episodes every Thursday, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Stella.
Okay, so I watched this movie on Amazon Rent, and just everyone out there that wants to watch it, the transfer is beautiful for Amazon. So I would go rent it. The intro's awesome.
Yeah, we liked our...
Yeah, I had my soft, beautiful VHS analog NTSC.
The glory of emulsion in every shot.
Yes, 480 by 320, baby.
Chemical swirl.
Okay, well, I'm a Chris Sarandon fan. I don't know why, but...
I can tell you why.
Well, he's in one of my favorite episodes of Deep Space Nine.
Well, there's that, because we're big Trekkies.
Yeah, he's in season 2, episode 11, for all you fans out there. It's a Ferengi episode. Go watch it.
It's a Luck episode.
It's a Luck episode.
Yeah. But he's also in Fright Night, which I showed you, I'm sure, when you were young.
But he's great in Fright Night.
Yeah. And I love Fright Night. But I'm a Chris Sarandon fan, and I loved him in this. I do agree, though, with you, Quentin, that in the courtroom scene where he just kind of becomes smooth talking and, officer... She wanted me to tie her up. It kind of lost steam for me.
In 1977, that was a legit defense.
It doesn't fly now, not in 2022. But one thing you guys didn't mention is there's a lot of encoding in the film that I noticed, and maybe it's because I'm watching on the beautiful Amazon transfer. But when he is making rape theme number 1, when he's recording the pigeons, there is a magazine behind him with her on it. And these are the headlines on the magazine. Number 1, the book that can change your life. Don't say yes when you want to say no. And the second one, yeah.
Wow.
And by the way, don't say yes.
That must be Dianetics.
Yeah, and don't say yes when you want to say no is an underlined. And then number 2 is love, in brackets, sudden, intense, and brief, and brackets, with an improper stranger bad for you, the new relaxed view of brief encounters. Yeah. So he's reading this magazine that's behind him while he's making that rape theme.
He's a product of culture.
Yeah, he is a product of what she's selling.
Yeah. And I like the fact that Gala makes it a point to read all the headlines of the newspapers and in the different movies when it comes to her turn. All right, Paul Bartel's headlines from Piranha. Okay. Mariel Hemingway's magazine covers.
I know
somebody has to. Somebody has to.
Someone put a lot of effort into this, but I love that. It's like his character is being built upon what she's selling. She's selling this whole thing of don't say yes when you want to say no, and impromptu strangers, rendezvous.
What's weird is she is so professional. She is such a professional in the film. And yet she is, the one blamed for everything.
Yeah. And the rape itself. Okay, everyone that I know always quotes Perfect Blue by Satoshi Kon being like one of the most intense rape moments in movies. It's always the one that they go to. Man, they should be reaching for lipstick. I started getting nauseous during it and started getting sweaty. My hands are even sweating thinking about it. And when he
nightmarish.
When he throws her around the room and then she slides down and he's like wondering where whatever something is that he's looking for. I don't know really what he's looking for, but he grabs her head and he bangs it and then bangs it a second time on her bedpost. And I was just thinking, like, frick, like if I was in this like situation, because later they ask her little sister, well, don't you think your sister could have fought back? And it's like, yeah, her sister's a strong woman.
Well, she just had her head.
She just had her head like bashed in on the bedpost.
No, he beats the fuck out of her.
And it's so intense and it's so believable. And one thing I have to say is she fights back, like in a very believable way that she's like screaming. She opens the door.
It felt real.
It feels so real.
It's just he just pummels her and takes he beats her down.
Oh yeah, and he's looking for the lipstick. He's asking where's the lipstick, and he takes her in the bathroom and he starts putting the lipstick and saying, "I want it on me. I want it." And it's just it's one of the worst rape scenes personally I've seen. I just thought it was just so gross.
Well, that bodes well for the movie because it's not presenting the rape scene as entertainment.
No, and it was not entertaining.
Yeah, which, as Gaspar Noé says, has to be as disgusting. It has to be disgusting to be useful.
It absolutely positively presents the killing of the rapist as entertainment.
Yes, because
which it is.
I think which it is. Yeah, whoever you are, after you watch the rape scene, you're like, I can't wait for him to get just like filled with bullets. Like,
which is why the courtroom sequence is so frustrating.
It's so frustrating because it goes on so long. But you know what? I didn't like the courtroom scene. I was like looking at my clock. I was thinking, oh, this is going like a long time. Like, where's the revenge? Where is it? But it's because she's not doing the revenge for herself. She is doing the revenge for her little sister because he has to go and hurt her. She's about to go back to Colorado or Wyoming or something. And it's not until he actually does it to her sister, takes her sister's innocence, that she just goes ballistic. And that made the courtroom scene worth it because I think a lot of people, when bad things happen to them and the systems fail for them, they say, you know what, I just give up. I'm just going to like take it and move on. But when it happens to someone that you love who does not have a voice to stand up for themselves, who just cries and says, I was just going to the bathroom. I mean, I'm getting chills like thinking about it. But man, I was so happy that she did it for her sister, not just for herself, but for her little sister. And I was just like, you know, I'm sold. I love this movie.
I mean, the thing about the courtroom scene is look, obviously it's all designed where the metaphor of the idea is she's being raped again. Yeah. This time in the public eye. In the public eye, in the court of public opinion, and also in the actual legal.
And she's been talked into it. In
the actual legal court. Now, the thing is, I think it errs too much to simplicity. Yeah. All right.
I agree with that.
But like I said, though, the cross-examination scene between Anne Bancroft and Chris Sarandon goes a long way to redeem it a little bit, because the dialogue just gets better. And now all of a sudden Anne Bancroft has something to play other than just righteous indignation.
Well, and how about the prosecution's interrogation of Mariel Hemingway, her little sister, is such a powerful
the defense
moment.
He actually gives one of the best performances in the movie. I think he's better than Anne Bancroft. He's very good. Is that it for Lipstick?
What more can be said?
I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great. So
I ultimately I
loved that ending. It's worth it.
Well, no, you love right before the ending, not the little end cap of
no, that's a tag. That's a tag. That's a tag. The shooting is the climax. Yeah. All right. That's
You just said tag, and tag was the secret film that we saw
that we didn't get all the way through.
We didn't get all the way through. So,
and that brings to a close. That puts the cap on Lipstick.
Yes.
I bought my VHS tape on eBay for $29.42. Very strange amount, but it's the same. I think they call it a gatefold. What this box is.
I guess
like interesting.
What do they call it?
Gatefold.
I guess because it's not just slipped over the top. It has its own little cradle. Yeah. We like that.
It doesn't like.
And it has a little.
It's a gatefold.
Yeah, it has
a gatefold.
Quentin is like flashing the little tab. The little tab at me.
I'm fingering the tab.
Stop doing that. It's disturbing.
Stop fingering the tab on the box of lipstick.
Stop fingering the gatefold tab.
Okay, that's enough for this movie.
Oh, and the tape number was 2326.
The one and only, The Wrestler.
Well, if you folks just tuned in, this is not Queen for a Day. This is wrestling from Madison Square Garden, believe it or not. And this is what the well-dressed wrestler will wear this year.
Henry Winkler is The One and Only, a Carl Reiner film rated PG.
Now showing Great Lakes Mall, Brookgate, Lowe's Cedar Center, and Lowe's West.
And our second half of our double feature, another Paramount home video, this time from the comedy section under O, is the movie The One and Only, Henry Winkler's second feature film after he became famous with the Fonz. First, there was he had a small movie career. Should have had a bigger movie career. I thought he was really terrific in his movies. One was Heroes with him and Sally Field, and then the next one is The One and Only, directed by Carl Reiner, starring Henry Winkler and Kim Darby. Now, the reason I chose this one, I always really got a kick out of this movie. I saw it, I think, the sneak preview of it at the Old Town Mall when it opened up. But also, I've been wanting to put more comedies in here, and we haven't found a place. And finally, I decided to just make a place. And I actually even kind of like the idea of following up Lipstick with funny Paramount comedy. So, Roger, why don't you do the honors and read the back of the box?
Well, first of all, I just want to say it's another Paramount home video box with the, what did they call it? A chiclet box? Gatefold.
Where did you get that word that you just said? A chiclet fold?
A chiclet box.
That almost sounds like a slur against Gala.
Anyhow, it is another, and this one graphically different, but it's beautiful all the same. Same basic design with their interior branding. I don't know who was in charge of art direction.
And that one has still has the kind of the snap. If you open it up a little bit, then try to snap it back. Yeah, it has that. No, you're still doing it too much. You just let it do it. Stop using your finger. Just do a flick. Yeah, see, she got it.
Well, she knows how to close the box. Okay, so the back of the box.
Everything you said just sounds dirty.
The one and only Henry Winkler, whose Fonzie, and that's in quotes, characterization captivates millions of TV fans every week on the long-running Happy Days, portrays an outrageously self-confident but out-of-work actor, a young man who dreams of stardom and leaves college to pursue fame and fortune, searching for it in the most unlikely of arenas, the wrestling ring. Winkler, in this incisive film role, and Kim Darby as his loving wife who finds it difficult to cope with her husband's antics, are sublime. The witty, well-paced script is imaginatively directed by the comic great Carl Reiner.
That's it?
That's it. 1978.
That's not that good of a description. I mean, it doesn't even set it in the 50s, which is a very important aspect of the entire story, is that it takes place in the 50s.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't, and actually a selling point, I would think, because of Happy Days.
Yeah, because of Happy Days, and also his strange gateway to success, which is through the first beginning of televised wrestling.
Yeah, the rise of wrestling and the popularity of wrestling at that time.
The thing about The One and Only, it's directed very well by Carl Reiner. It's actually one of my more favorite directing jobs of his. But as time has gone on, even more than Henry Winkler, even more than Carl Reiner, the MVP of the piece seems to be the screenwriter Steve Gordon, who wrote the screenplay, was to write one more screenplay that he would direct, a little film called Arthur, and then he would die of a heart attack, never to make another film again. You can make a direct correlation between his screenplay for The One and Only and Arthur just immediately. They're both about two obnoxious lead characters.
Hiding their pain.
Yeah, hiding their pain with just like one funny quip line after another, after another, after another. And they're both two difficult characters that it's actually hard to like, but at the end of the day, they come across as such powerhouse bulldozers that they end up flattening the audience. Henry Winkler first heard of the script because it was written for Dustin Hoffman. And Dustin Hoffman really liked it and really considered doing it. He ended up not doing it. And then when it went off the market, as far as Hoffman was concerned, that's when Henry Winkler and Carl Reiner snapped it up. But the thing about it is there's an aspect that you could almost imagine that Andy Schmidt, the character that Henry Winkler plays, actually grows up to become Michael Dorsey in Tootsie.
Yeah.
He's very. There's a similar aspect to the characters. The difference is
dedication to performance.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's aspects of The One and Only that Hoffman brought in
for sure
to Tootsie. The big difference being, and I'm almost. Maybe not on the same side of the as the movie when it comes to this. As problematic as Michael Dorsey's character is, in just in terms of being a likable human being, it's beyond question that he's supposedly a great actor. He's Dustin Hoffman. In that case, he's Dustin Hoffman. His eccentricities come out of the fact that he cares too much because he's too self-possessed. He quits Chekhov Productions because he won't go downstage.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a spear carrier is basically the implication, the idea.
Okay, where now The One and Only, the character is very similar. However, the movie never makes up its mind, is the guy actually talented or not? Is he actually a good actor? And then I actually remember hearing Henry Winkler talk about it on like the Dinah Shore show, just sitting on that couch with Dinah and a bunch of other people. And he goes, well, the guy thinks he's a really great actor, but in actual fact, he's a sham. I didn't see that at all. I don't think he's a sham. I think he would be a terrific actor. I like movies about characters that have got this all-consuming passion, and even their fraudulent aspects of their human being character is secondary compared to their artistic pursuits. Now, the reason I like a character like that is I think that's what I was like all through my
as I was watching
all
this
through
movie,
my 20s.
I was thinking this is the Quentin Tarantino story I was watching.
It might as well be the Quentin Tarantino story.
Yeah.
And I had about as much to show for. I had less to show for it than Andy Schmidt did until eventually I did. But the thing that makes this movie, though, is just the jokes are hysterical. It's just like one great line after another. I think it's a really, really funny movie. Oh, so the basic plot line is he's going to a college in this in the early 50s, and he wants to be the big actor in school. And he falls in love with Kim Darby, who steals the show, actually, I think. I think her performance is fantastic in it. She's not exactly what you would expect. She actually is a stronger character than she has any right to be. But it's in the page, but she also brings it out. And he starts pursuing her, even though she's out of his league, and she's out of his league because she's sane and he's insane. But love conquers all. And then he gets her, and then they get married. They move to New York.
Trying to make it in a big city.
And that is as well done a story of like a young couple in the Paul Newman era to be actors in a cold water flat in New York in the early 50s with only off-Broadway and some live television as an option, him trying to forge a career. He's not able to have any luck until he meets Hervé Villechaize, who plays a little person wrestler, who plays a little person who's an actor, but also he in his off times, he gets involved with wrestling. And well, it's like acting, you have cheering crowds. And
that was the thing in the 70s, midget wrestling.
And you play a character. Well, this is the 50s, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And so he can't get any movement as a real actor playing real roles, but then he finds his own way to performing via this wrestling.
He hears the ovation of the people.
And he gets to play characters and he rehearses those characters, and it's acting.
He finds fulfillment.
He finds fulfillment. He finds his stage. He finds his stage, and he finds his stage with his people. There's an interesting scene. It's which the whole movie is also very similar to Ed Wood in a lot of different ways, including the little group of people hanging around him. And Kim Darby almost has a scene straight out of Ed Wood when she goes, no, you see, you like the freaks. You're happy with the freaks. And the freaks like you.
But when you come home, I want you.
Yeah.
I want the real you, is what she keeps saying.
But what she doesn't know is there's no real you there. There is no real you.
I would argue there is. And that he hides
It's never been shown. It's not shown in the entire movie.
Well,
what he presents as a real you is actually the biggest lie of the entire movie, is when I'm straightening up my act.
Yeah, that is actually the biggest moment of lying. Mm-hmm. Franklin Browner wrote a review of this. Mm-hmm. To be the one and only is to be an only child. To be an only child is to be the center of attention. Water finds its level. The child must, for the rest of their lives, work to live up to that attention, for better or worse. For Henry Winkler, in The One and Only, it's for the better, as this proto-garp, proto-jerk, hides his insecurities with a narcissistic desire for the ovation of strangers. However, despite all of this self-aggrandization, one can only recall the resonant quote of President Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions? Who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement? And at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat." He's talking about everyone in the audience, anyone outside of the arena. And one can really say that Henry Winkler in this film is fully in the arena, for better or worse. And in watching the movie, I started thinking, who is this movie about? I mean, I know that it's the Quentin Tarantino story and it's about Quentin. But it's probably also the Steve Gordon story. Mm-hmm. It's probably also the Carl Reiner story. I mean, really,
not only that, I mean, there's a whole lot of similarity to the young Mel Brooks. I mean, there could even be a jumping off point for Carl Reiner to do the film in the first place. Yeah. Oh, this is like Mel when he was in his 25.
Yeah. I mean, they do a prologue to the film in black and white where his character is a young boy and he's an only child. Mm-hmm. He's entertaining for the neighbors. And he's treating them like an audience. And as I was like thinking about my reading and the meaning of this movie, I started thinking about things like, I was an only child. Mm-hmm. I think you're an only child.
You think? Have you ever met my brother in the last 40 years?
Your dad and mine were wandering types. Yeah. Who knows what's out there?
Well, maybe, but nothing official.
Nothing official. But, being an only child, you're in some ways the center of attention. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're all there is. And this movie is like about being an outsider. I mean, being an outsider in this movie it's kind of about being a nerd, but there's also...
Yeah, he's more now. I would say more outside.
But because this is Steve Gordon, because this is Carl Reiner, there is absolutely a kind of Jewish outsider discussion being had in here.
Oh, absolutely.
Which at first I was thinking, no, it's just he's a nerd. He's an outsider. But then there's that one moment when it all breaks and he tells her, what are you going to do? You're going to go back to Iowa and sit there in the house with Jesus on the wall. Mm-hmm. A picture of Jesus on the wall. Mm-hmm. And I was like, whoa, I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it came from Steve Gordon. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it came from Carl Reiner. I don't know if it came from Henry Winkler in the moment, because that's what it felt like to me. And it felt like he was like fully in character. But he's talking about, like, I mean, at least being in Iowa, being an outsider.
And some of Andy Schmidt's dialogue in this, I have kept in my personal arsenal for years. Yeah. All right. When she's had enough of him and she goes, look, I'm going to get out of the car and leave. And he goes, get out. Okay, if I get out, I'm not coming back in. I'll take that chance. I've said that for years, all right, because of this movie.
I'm sure you said it to me. Yeah, it's a good line. And this movie's full of like really strong lines like that.
It's a good line. And then my other favorite line is like, okay, goodbye. Tell your grandkids you once stayed in a movie star.
And he effectively says what Theodore Roosevelt said, which was, they're in the audience. I don't care what they think. They're all in the audience, and they're always going to be in the audience.
Well, now there's an interesting moment in the film that it's a funny scene. Is he gets the job he gets in his college. They're doing a production of King Lear, and he plays a spear carrier. He has one line. Ed Begley Jr. is playing Lear, of all people. is playing Lear in this.
Like, seriously.
Horrible, what looks like a horrible college production.
Yeah.
So you see him rehearsing the play, and Harold Gould is the director, is like practically ripping his hair out. All right. At everything Andy Schmidt's doing over this one little line. And so finally comes time to do the play. And it comes time for his line. And then he just completely takes over the play. He takes over the play. He starts saying anything he wants. He's like doing pratfalls. He ends up committing suicide on stage. Yeah. He commits suicide with his own spear. All right. And then when the audience breaks into applause, he stands up and bows and then lays back down again.
Yeah.
He ruins the play, but steals the whole show. So later it has him like laying in bed with his wife, and he's just kind of going over it. Oh man, I killed him. Did you hear him out there? I killed him. And then finally his wife says, but what about the play? I mean, you ruined the play. All those people got together to do the play. He goes, they didn't want to see that stupid play. They wanted to laugh, and I gave them a reason to laugh. Well, he's right.
Yeah.
Who wants to see a college production of King Lear starring Ed Begley Jr. as King Lear? God, you hope Andy Schmidt comes out there. All right. And
I can hear Carl Reiner even saying what you just said.
Yeah. They wanted to laugh, and they did want to laugh. They were dying. They were truly dying. And then Andy Schmidt threw him a lifeline.
What she wants is the real him. And we may never really have a true glimpse of it, but we get a glimpse of it by not seeing it. It's loud in its absence because he pushes everyone away whenever they get too close. Whenever they want the real him, that's when he turns it on even more.
I would argue
it's like a defense mechanism.
But I would argue, and I don't think I thought this during the movie, but I'm thinking of this now as we're talking about it. To some degree or another, she constitutes the real him. See, she's a real character. She's a really well-written character. Like the way that the Liza Minnelli character is not well-written in Arthur is as well-written as she is. She's almost like the John Gielgud character. Mm-hmm. But she's a real three-dimensional human being, in a movie that takes place in the 50s where women aren't like given three-dimensional roles. And Kim Darby makes very specific actress choices for this character. There's nothing cookie cutter about her. It's a very specific performance and it's a very specific character. You completely buy that he loves her.
Yeah.
You completely buy that he's connected to her and he's committed to her. So the fact that he loves her, that's the closest to him being a real human being that is offered up. It's not like there's another there deep down there. No. There's just more Andy Schmidt deep down there. There's more Ham. So Roger, what's your pompous critic guy's name?
Franklin Browner.
Franklin Browner. And he's based on William Margaux, correct?
Based on William Margaux. He's similar to William Margaux. They could easily have been friends, but probably enemies. Rivals.
And Franklin Browner liked The One and Only, correct?
Franklin Browner liked One and Only, yes. Yes, I did.
Well, I have William Margaux's review of The One and Only.
Splendid.
February 10th.
Does he quote Theodore Roosevelt?
No, he doesn't.
Can you do it in Margaux's voice?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect.
February 10th, 1978, which, by the way, came out the same week as Coma. Another shout back to another episode. The One and Only isn't very much. A sporadically amusing tale of a fellow, Henry Winkler, who feels that he is the pearl and that the world is his delighted oyster. The film has moments, but very little in way of memories. Although packed with the cuddlies of love, marriage, and babies, the show, under Carl Reiner's bland direction, fails to generate much in the way of caring from the viewer. Winkler, who performed well in the meaty but muddled Heroes role, has only bones to pick through as Andy Schmidt, the kind of guy who figures that life is a circus and that he is the main attraction. After embarrassing Kim Darby, who's pretty good as a victim and then partner to this guy's ego, off her feet, Andy, Henry, tackles the world of wrestling. As the film is set in the 50s, when choreographed grappling flourished, the glimpses, as scripted by Steve Gordon, of the comically violent prima donnas, Winkler plays an assortment of caricatures, including a gorgeous George, are the highlights of the production. Support of varying sorts is supplied by William Daniels and Polly Holliday, at first unrecognizable as the gritty waitress from TV's Alice, as Darby's perplexed parents, Mr. B. Arthur, Gene Sachs, as a wrestling manager, and mighty Herr Velichez. Reiner's last outing was the far more enjoyable Oh God. This time around, all he has come up with is a O. C-.
I think Franklin Browner would take exception to that review. But I have to say,
I appreciate its writing style.
I appreciate the writing style, and I also appreciate his mention of Oh God, because I like The One and Only, but I really like Oh God.
I really don't like Oh God.
And I haven't seen Oh God since really a long time, but my memory of Oh God is it's super fond. Like it's, I don't know, John Denver, the time period, he's working at a supermarket, like everything about it. I just kind of, even George Burns being God, and I don't know. I like all of it. I like Oh God.
But I think the film is best talked about as the second in a very strong feature film career for Henry Winkler that was unfortunately cut short. It's too bad. All right. He was a superstar playing Fonzie on television. I mean, to such a degree, it's funny because I had
household name.
Oh, I hadn't seen it in a long time, but I watched The Goodbye Girl. And in The Goodbye Girl, Quinn Cummings has a picture of the Fonz on her bedroom that it's so prominent in her bedroom that you almost are having a staring contest with Fonzie anytime you go in there.
Is it that leather jacket? With
yes,
that famous where he's leaning a little?
Yeah, the famous one where it's like the closest thing Henry Winkler ever had to a full-on glam shot.
Yeah, it's a glam shot.
And it's a total glam shot, and it's like put right in the middle of the screen, so you're kind of having a staring contest with it. But there's even is a touch of character added to it. Because if you remember The Goodbye Girl, part of the deal that they make is the little girl moves in with her mother and Richard Dreyfuss gets the little girl's bedroom. So they don't let the little girl move all of her junk into her mom's room. All right. So it pretty much stays for the most part Quinn Cummings' room throughout most of the thing, just with a few Elliot Garfield eccentricities thrown around. But it's obvious that the mother said, okay, you can't take all the, because it's great looking at a room to see all the different famous celebrities from that time that are on her wall. Okay, she couldn't bring everybody, but she could bring one. And the one she brings is Fonzie.
Yeah.
So Fonzie actually moves over to the mother's bedroom. And like, again, you have staring contests with him every time that they have a scene there. But it was like, but it's the unique. You can't bring all the junk, but the one that moved over to the mom's room was the photo of Fonzie. But that just goes to show what a huge star Henry Winkler as Fonzie was at that time. Such a star. He was one of the biggest stars on television. By
household name.
By a mile. But then he went into feature films. Like he was offered Grease. They wanted him to be Danny Zuko in Grease, yes. But he turned it down because I don't want to play Fonzie. I would just be playing. One, I'm not really a singer, and I would just be playing Fonzie, and I don't want to just do a big budget version
and the way he dances
of me being Fonzie.
It's hard to rip myself out of that movie the way it is.
So he plays the Vietnam veteran in a romantic comedy, Heroes, and then plays this character in The One and Only, and neither film does really well. It doesn't really set him off on his feature film career, and he only goes back starring in a feature film, like 4 years later when he stars in Night Shift.
Right.
For Ron Howard. However, there is one movie that Henry Winkler almost did. I like the movie that was made, but I can also imagine the Henry Winkler version as well. He starred in as one of the guys in Lords of Flatbush.
Yeah.
Working with Perry King, and he's working with Sylvester Stallone in that film. So he moves out to Los Angeles, and then within a few weeks, he gets the part as Fonzie. And so now he's set up, his show's on the air. He's not the superstar he is yet, but he's doing pretty good. He's got
a network show.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's past its first season, so Fonzie's already a thing now. So all of a sudden, Winkler gets a call from Sylvester Stallone and goes, hey, look, I just moved to Hollywood. I got my dog. I got my wife, and my car just died on me on Sunset Boulevard. Can you come pick me up? So he comes and he picks up Sylvester Stallone. He's got his gorgeous wife, Sasha Stallone, in the car. He's got Butkus, that crazy dog from the Rocky movies. Winkler said, like,
sloppy dog.
My whole backseat was just like needed a snorkel with all the drool. So Sly's just moved to Hollywood, and I help him out. And this is before Sly has written Rocky. The script that Sly wrote, that was his big magnum opus that he was trying to get made before Rocky, was a script called Hell's Kitchen that he later made into Paradise Alley.
Yeah.
Now, when Stallone wrote the script, he wrote it to be a trifecta. So he wrote the Cosmo character for Robert De Niro. Mm-hmm. He wrote the Armada Sante character for Al Pacino. And then naturally he wrote Kid Salami, Vic, for him.
Yeah.
They said no to all that. All right. So he's just trying to get it going. And so he shows it to Henry Winkler. Mm-hmm. And Henry Winkler reads it and goes, hey, this is really good. I think I can set this up with ABC television. And so Stallone goes, yeah, sure, go ahead. So he goes to ABC and he gets it set up. And Henry would play Cosmo and Stallone would play Vic, play Kid Salami. And they'd find the third guy to be the brother Lenny. It's all set up. And Henry's going to be one of the producers on it. And it's interesting in his career because I understood the Fonzie persona was so strong when it came to Henry Winkler that he always leaned away from the black leather jacket persona to try to find things that were the opposite of that.
Yeah.
If he had done Paradise Alley, that would have been the only time he had leaned in to the persona that he set up. And I'm not necessarily saying that I think Henry Winkler would have been better than Stallone was playing Cosmo. I think Stallone's really good as Cosmo. But I really would have liked to have seen Henry Winkler once do a jumping off point from the Fonzie persona. And him playing Cosmo with that terrific dialogue that Stallone has would have been a wonderful fit for him.
And in a way, it would have allowed him to kind of reset all that Fonzie stuff because he would have done something else in tandem almost.
Well, he wouldn't have been Fonzie, but he would have still been a New York tough guy.
Yeah, he was like a kind of a greaser. I don't know what you call that guy. Well, leather jacket.
Yeah, it would have been a leather jacket. He would have been a con man. He would have been, which is not who Fonzie is. All right, but he would have used the same voice.
Yeah,
and he would and the outfit would have been similar. And
and Happy Days was still going strong.
No, it was at the beginning. It was right. He was. I mean, look, he was able to walk into ABC and they set him up big time. But the reason it didn't happen, I always heard that Stallone was distressed by his magnum opus being turned into a TV movie, and so he begged.
In those days, that was still a very big.
So he begged Henry Winkler not to do it, and so Winkler dropped it. But that's not the truth. That's not the truth at all. Henry Winkler told me, no, that's not the case. I told Sly I'm going to ABC, and he was all for it. It was because ABC, they were down with Stallone playing Vic, and they were down with Henry playing Cosmo, but they wanted to bring another screenwriter on and give the script a polish. And Stallone just begged Henry, please, please, please don't let them rewrite my baby. Please don't let them rewrite my baby.
Stallone is a great writer, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an excellent writer.
Yeah. And so
you don't need somebody to come in and rewrite him.
Yeah. So Henry Winkler put the kibosh on it. He pulled it. He pulled it and gave the script back to Stallone. And then literally the next year, Stallone writes Rocky. But I was always a big fan of Henry Winkler as an actor. I thought he was like terrific as an actor. And I really like the movie Heroes a lot. I think he's wonderful in that. And I think he's hysterical in this.
What I love is that he's hysterical, but he's also, there's like this layer of, I don't know, pain. I feel like
I don't think the character thinks he's as in much pain as you want to put on him.
I felt a kind of only child syndrome coming out of him.
Well, I felt an only child syndrome. I just disagree that he's in pain. I mean, he just if he gets a good job, he's not going to be in pain at all.
Well, when you are the one and only, you are the one, but you are also the only is the point. You can't have a normal relationship. You can't have a normal marriage, even.
Okay, but you're not describing anything that reflects anything he does in the movie.
Well, I'm reflecting what she's saying about him.
Well, that was my point.
And she, being his wife, is giving an honest appraisal of him, which he is unable to give because he's a clown.
Well, no.
What do clowns do, Quentin? They smile, but they're crying.
No. Well, that's also a cliche, too. You just seem to be full of cliches here. No, he's not hiding tears, and he's not just making jokes. He's talking himself up because it's what he's doing. At the end of the day, he thinks is impossible. And the only way he can do it is if he creates this front.
I would also say that Steve Gordon is evidence enough that the psychic evidence of Arthur, to come after this is almost evidence enough of what his agenda is as a writer. I mean, I agree. Winkler is playing it as full of confidence. He believes in himself more than anyone.
It really is he gets derailed right away. It really is just the early stages of his career. But that's a time when nobody believes in him and nobody trusts him. So he naturally has to believe in himself. But God, for a decade, I was the only one who believed in me.
Well, but you know what? He does have her because she believes in him enough that when he's like, oh, that's the restaurant, all the big stars eat there. And so we're going to eat there. And she knows we don't have the money to do that. We eat there one night. We can't make our rent, basically, is what she's saying. And she looks at him and she sees his face and she's the first one to enable him.
Yeah.
Let's go eat there. And even though she knows that they can't, that's supportive.
No, she's very similar to Grace.
She's very
similar to Grace. All right. Yeah, my first girlfriend back in the video archives days.
Yeah, actually. I mean, if you're going to make it, if you're really going to make it, you have to believe in yourself more than anybody. You have to believe in yourself when everyone is telling you, no, it's impossible. You have to be passionate, even when you don't feel the passion. You've got to remind people of passion. You've got to be persistent. You've got to walk into a dark tunnel knowing that there's an exit and not turn around. And you have to be positive constantly, which is what he is, even when it's false.
One of the things that the movie does offer up in trying to get to his psyche, which I say is vaguely different from the Michael Dorsey character in Tootsie, even though he says enough things about feeling the character all the way down and everything. So he makes references to playing characterizations. All right. And naturally, he wants to rewrite the characterizations.
Of course.
I see this guy as sort of a street priest. Which is really funny. But there is a distinction of where he's coming from as a performer. And it's not necessarily to be considered this great, serious, old Vic style actor, nor is it the minutia of playing different characters and different characterizations or understanding other people's humanity by playing other people's humanity. It's about the applause.
Yeah.
That's what he wants.
Literally the ovation of the people.
It literally is the ovation of the people, the cheering crowd. That's what he wants. So when he pretends to be hurt in the football game, so they carry him off the stretcher, for the sounds of the applause. Well, that might as well be a hit play as far as he's concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, slow down. I want to hear the applause more. They keep making it a point that is his fuel. That's what he's looking for, is the cheer of the crowd.
He doesn't give a squirt.
That's why he joins wrestling.
And he doesn't give a squirt for King Lear, legitimate acting, the art, or any of that.
No, that's to be pissed on. That's to be made fodder for his own grandiose moments.
To that end, Carl Reiner even shows himself on TV, basically doing the same, which is clowning for the world and making them laugh, because that is the most important thing. If you can get somebody to laugh when they're miserable in their life, then my God, you've saved the world. And in a way, that's what Henry Winkler is doing. And I think a lot of this is about being an only child. Otherwise, they wouldn't have that prologue at the very, very beginning.
And by the way, we haven't mentioned, though, that Gene Sachs, who's very, very funny in the movie, who plays the
oh my God,
the wrestling manager.
Oh, he's fantastic.
One hysterical Jewish gay joke about his son after another. And at first they're groaning, and then finally you can't wait for the next one.
Yeah. He hits it so many times that eventually it's funny.
And, yeah.
And I like how he's always got his eyeglasses up on his forehead. And he's especially great with Hervé Villechaize, who is magnificent in the film, who is how does Margaux describe him? Titanic?
Mighty.
Mighty. And he is mighty in this movie. He's tough. He's got a kind of Douglas Fairbanks mustache.
Well, again,
he's kind of suave.
Well, you have to remember, though.
Let's go scar some chicks.
Yeah. Well, you have to remember that one and only was other than his part in The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight, he's a real actor in this.
Completely.
Yeah. He's a real actor. He's playing a real character. It's before he became the clown joke. All right, that he became after he became successful with Fantasy Island and everything, doing singing songs on the Dinah Shore show. Yeah. This is back when he was we actually still kind of took him a little seriously, even though as a comic performer, you kind of took him seriously as a performer, and he delivers.
Well, what I love about his comic performance is that it is a comic performance, but then at the right moments, he suddenly becomes serious. He becomes normal, he speaks on, the act comes down. And it's really heartwarming when he does.
One of the funniest moments in the movie is when he, as the actor, when he's talking to that secretary, he's on the other end of her desk, and he just starts banging her desk with his crotch.
With his little.
Do you feel me? Do you feel me? You feel me? Huh? You feel me? You feel it? You like it? You like it? You feel it?
How's that?
I'm watching you what the fuck is going on?
Well, and then when he goes over and he starts hitting on her mother.
Polly Holiday. Yeah, that was great. Okay, now, that was a moment in the theater when it's just a two-shot between him and her, and you just see his hand start creeping over to her knee. The audience was pissing themselves laughing so much. Yeah. They were pissing themselves.
It's a funny moment.
And we're back, and we're joined by the lovely Gala.
Hey, Quentin. Hey, Roger.
Hey.
Okay, so this movie was kind of weird. On the drive here, Roger's like, I don't think you're going to like this movie. And you know what? He's kind of right.
Yeah, but your prediction was
right.
You would only find Henry Winkler's performance annoying.
Which is half true. Whenever I listen to you guys discuss the movies, I always find myself liking them more than I did when I watched them. I kind of went in expecting more wrestling and less of his.
You thought it was a wrestling movie.
I thought it was a wrestling movie. So I kind of feel like I was predisposed. And you're right. I found him really annoying. Some people...
It's like stir crazy thinking that it's a rodeo movie.
Yes.
However, okay. I will say, look, it's funny you're coming from that point of view. Because about midway through the movie, Roger goes, "Oh my God, this is a wrestling movie now."
We're opposites.
Yeah, and in fact, I only wish that the Gorgeous George character...
Well, that's my biggest problem with this movie ever since I was a kid. The way they do it in the script, it works very well. That's the introduction of the character, and it makes sense that it's like it's his first introduction, and then he becomes a star. He's not a bullshit star. He's actually a star.
Yeah.
So in script wise, it makes sense, but for fun wise, I wish he could have been the lover for like 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen more matches with the lover, and I'd like to have seen him navigate the lover persona. All right. Like in interviews, see him go on 50s talk shows and stuff.
Yeah, because actually the wrestling was my favorite part of the movie. Like that's when it actually really lit up for me, is when he got in the ring, because anyone who's so into their craft, when you finally get to see them in the ring or on the stage, it's exciting. And that's like when he...
And I thought his outfit, when he's like the lover leaving the arena, was magnificent.
Yeah, I agree. Like the pimp outfit.
Yeah, the pimp outfit was really awesome.
He also did a really good job playing, I don't know if it was Hitler, but the Kaiser, he had the Hitler mustache.
Oh, Himmler.
The Kaiser.
His name was Himmler.
The Himmler?
All right,
Okay, so they actually had a name
His
for
name was Himmler. Yeah, I know the announcer. Yeah, it's written with an M. But we know where that M belongs. It belongs with an L.
I mean, Henry Winkler walking around like with the hair and and prancing around on stage. It was funny.
Okay, actually, the best character of his, though, is the hypnotist doctor. When he goes up...
Oh, yeah. Yes.
There's a moment,
Yes.
I have to...
That was actually my biggest laugh.
He takes his two fingers and he's like rolling them
Yeah,
around.
does that. And he's able to do it. And then somebody's like, "That's unfair. He's using hypnotism.
Yeah.
It's unfair."
And he's dressed up like Sigmund Freud. He's got a Freud beard.
Those were my biggest laughs in
And
the
that's
movie.
the thing, is the wrestling is the best part. And I wish that there were more wrestling scenes, or more scenes of him as his characters. Now, people online, after watching this movie, are no doubt going to recognize that Winkler's character is considered a Sigma male. To all of you online people out there.
Whatever that means.
It is someone that is above a Chad. I'm sure young viewers will understand and resonate with my description of him. But
you're speaking some strange language.
Above a Chad?
I bet you never thought you'd hear Quentin Tarantino say that one. But you know what?
A hanging Chad?
It's something to do with the election in Florida.
Yeah.
I think Al Gore won.
I did not really like his character, and I was like, "Oh God, this guy is so annoying," and like, "Oh, like why is she still going out with him?" And then he started to kind of win me over, actually, when he goes to have dinner with her family, and he starts doing the impressions, and he starts to win over her mom.
Yeah, the mother likes it.
Yeah.
And the mother really likes it, and her brother really likes it. And I started thinking, okay, this is like what this guy's got going for him.
Okay, I got it, but like, when he finally meets the parents for the first time, he walks in the door. Dad! Mom! It sucks. And they're like these like completely sheltered white Midwestern people. It's like, this is just not done.
Yeah, that kid who the brother.
Dad! Call me Tom. Tom and Mom.
Tom and Mom. Well, have you seen The World According to Garp?
No.
Okay, so
Not yet.
this is in many ways a character that was like laid out before World.
I mean,
According
to such a degree,
there are scenes.
To such a degree that it makes me think that maybe Henry Winkler should have played Garp. All right.
No, seriously. Well, there's a moment where when she discovers she's pregnant.
The whole college section.
Yeah, the college section.
The whole college section could be straight out of The World According to Garp.
Yeah, when she discovers she's pregnant, and he's like, "We're pregnant," and he gets all excited. Yeah. He's listening to the baby, and the only thing missing is him drawing the baby on her stomach. Is the only thing missing.
And he wants to be an actor the way Garp wants to be a writer.
Yeah, and so and Gretchen, my wife, Gala's mother, she's not a big fan of World According to Garp, and so she was like, "Oh, what did you see?" And I started explaining the movie, and well, it's with Henry Winkler, and he's this wild character, and he wants to be an actor and everything. It's kind of like World According to Garp. She's like, "Ugh, that sounds awful."
Okay,
but
It's like World According to Garp if it wasn't filled with a tremendous amount of pretensions.
It's World According to Garp without pretension. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's funny World According to Garp.
This movie evokes a lot of other movies that will come afterwards. One, you have Arthur for sure.
Yeah.
And then you have what we mentioned, The World According to Garp, which I really realized big time when we had our viewing of it. But also there's an Ed Wood quality to the movie.
Completely.
The character could almost be Ed Wood.
Yeah.
All right. In his own way. And especially with his little motley cast of characters that he carries around with him. And like I said, to this,
the flunky performers that group around together.
Even to the point that Kim Darby almost has the exact same scene, all right, that Sarah Jessica Parker has when she talks about the weirdos hanging around him.
Well, if you were Henry Winkler, it would have been me and Jerry and Steve-O and
you guys weren't that weird, all right?
Not weird enough.
I would have had to.
We're not like the wrestler guy. What was his name? Or Hervé Villachez. Granted, I am not Hervé Villachez. You're right.
Yeah, and speaking of Hervé Villachez, I love Hervé.
Isn't he awesome?
I mean, everyone knows I love Knick Knack. Knick Knack loves to watch. I love Knick Knack. And Hervé Villachez, when he appeared in the movie, I didn't know he was in it. I was so excited. I actually went, oh my God, it's Hervé. I was just, he brought life to the movie.
He's kind of sexy.
Yeah.
With the mustache.
I think so. I think he's awesome.
With the Errol Flynn mustache he's got.
And also,
The Ellen Swan
how you guys were
mustache.
talking about, I think his name, the character's name is Seltzer, his manager.
Yeah.
But how he keeps on making those jokes, the gay jokes about his son. I mean, the short jokes to Hervé, at first they're kind of not funny, and then eventually they start to land. Like as they become more friends, they get funnier and funnier.
You realize that it's an affectation that he's doing with him. And that at first our natural instinct is, oh, don't make that joke. And then you realize, no, that's how they show their love for each other.
No, you actually get the impression that he doesn't have a problem with his son. His son just gives him more material to bitch about.
Yeah. He just likes to talk about it.
But yeah, hands down, Hervé was the best part of the movie for me. I loved seeing him, and I thought it was so funny. And then Darby, she does a really good job in this movie. I actually somehow believe her when she loves him. I don't know how, because I found him really not lovable in that way, but I found their love for each other super believable.
Like she suffers for him, basically.
Yeah, but
she is going to suffer because
believable.
what she wants is for him to be free, to be himself, because that is special. She recognizes that, and that he has to be allowed to do that. And she's there to support him because she loves that free quality.
I like that line where he's like, "Isn't this great, honey? We're living in a horrible apartment in New York in just complete squalor. Everybody great who ever came to New York started off just like this. Isn't this wonderful?" And she's like, "Yes, it's very good squalor. How long exactly does this normally last?"
My favorite scene with her, my favorite scene with her is the scene on the phone, like when she's at work and her mom calls her and she starts to cry like, "Mom, we're fine." Like, well, and her boss comes over and it's like, "Is this a personal call?" Because she can't make them. And then eventually she's like, "Can I please just have some privacy?" And he's like, "When a woman's crying, that's personal to me." And he goes up, and I love that scene.
I like that guy too.
Yeah, I like that guy. He does a really good performance. Now, my problem with the movie is actually involving Darby. The point where her character gives up on him and gets mad at him, I feel like is the wrong point in the movie, personally.
When she throws him out of the house?
When she throws him out of the house, because, I mean, when you look on the TV, they're playing like Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, they're doing well.
He has an opportunity to go play Madison Square Garden.
Well, but there's a reason for it, though. You know the reason? Because he's lying to her. He's saying he's going on the road, but
before when they're together in the bedroom, she says, "If you leave again, I'm going to divorce you." But I don't understand why this is the point in the movie where she chooses to take that stand, where it's an actual opportunity to go be at Madison Square Garden. Why not before? When it wasn't going well. Like, that's just the one part that doesn't make sense. And I feel like it betrays her character in a way because she stood with him all this other time.
That now when something is finally happening.
I think you're overthinking it a little bit, all right, because they never mentioned Madison Square Garden beforehand. So that could have just happened. All right, that could have just happened. It's a TV offer. It definitely is a TV offer. But the thing about it is she had laid down the law. She goes, if you go off to do this, I divorce you. Boom. That's it. Now, he doesn't want to get divorced. So, but he's effectively lying. He's set everything up for the day. Okay, see you at work. I'll see you when I come back. No, he's not coming back.
But the moment where she does confront him, I think is a good moment, especially with his toothbrush. Like, you forgot this.
Yeah.
Because she knows him. She knows the true him inside, that he is going to go off and do this, and he's going to lie. I just feel like
my lawyer, don't lie to me, just go.
Yeah.
Isn't that it? Isn't that her sentiment to him?
Yeah, and my lawyer will contact your lawyer, or like whatever these people do.
Yeah, I know you have to do what you have to do. I understand that.
But I'm not going to be here anymore.
I'm not going to be here. I can't do it anymore.
Which is a lie.
I have to go back home. Go back home to Iowa.
But here's the thing. Well, she is back home. All right. they're living with their parents. They could spend 20 minutes more on that whole last third act. And if they spent more time on it, then there would be more nuance to her character. But just in the moving quickly right along, bullet point aspect of it all, it fairly makes sense. Okay, I'm not going to have my mother call me up at work and cry anymore and feel sorry for me. I'm not going to do that. All right. So now they all move back to Iowa, and then he starts doing a good job. And the parents are all happy. Then she gets the call that she's afraid of, and she goes, "Look, if you turn me around and spin my life upside down, I'm going to divorce you. I'm not going to be waiting for you for that." But she knows he's going to do it, and she confronts him on it, and he goes and does it anyway. He deserts his family. But then they show it's at Madison Square Garden, and then they show the family watching the match
and loving it.
And you see the father for the first time actually responding to something Andy did, and then not only that, he's become a star. Not just a flaky guy in this wrestling thing. Gorgeous George was one of the most popular TV celebrities of the 50s. And he's supposed to be that guy. He's supposed to be Gorgeous George. So he literally becomes a star. So it makes sense that she shows up.
That's my problem, though, is because she's loved him the entire movie, and she stood by him the entire movie. And then she's like, okay, it's over. And then when he finally
is coming
reaches
from a
stardom,
woman who would stand by her man,
no
matter what.
But she beats the shit out of him, all right?
I know. I just think it just happened at the wrong time. I feel like her character so far has stood by him the whole time. And so when finally given an opportunity to like do something great, I feel like she would have stood by him. But she doesn't.
Well, in her own way, she does, though, because she acknowledges, look, I know you have to go.
Yeah. You're right.
Don't lie to me. Just go.
I rented mine on Amazon. It's available for anyone out there that wants to watch, but I also bought a VHS tape off of eBay for $12.99.
Excellent.
That's a great deal.
It is a good deal.
Why is this girl screaming? Why is this man terrified? Why is this couple under attack? Slithis. In the classic tradition of the creature from the Black Lagoon, and the thing comes now. Slithis. Slithis. A horror so outrageous that no one believed. Slithis. Rated PG.
Okay, and now we're back for our third and final feature. In our third triple feature spot is usually the exploitation-y item, and that is definitely the case with our third and final film, Slithis. AKA Spawn of the Slithis. Yes. Spawn of Slithis. I just refer to it because that's the poster art, the newspaper ad, everything just...
everything about it screams Slithis.
When you called the Rolling Hills Twin, they didn't say Spawn of Slithis. Yeah. They said Slithis plays tonight at 7:30.
But it needs to be said that the creature in this is not Slithis. It's not its name. But it comes from the Slithis.
Yes.
Which is a certain kind of inorganic mud.
It is a spawn of the Slithis.
Yes.
Okay, before we get into this whole thing, since you're going to start it off like that, what is Slithis?
Slithis is semi-inorganic, kind of like scales or a shell, muck that apparently within the reality of this movie becomes radioactive. And from the Slithis comes a
radioactive induced
spawn
organism.
Yeah. Something that climbs out of that. There's a lot of scientific mumbo jumbo in this movie that somebody looks like they, were looking up stuff. And so they have an explanation for it. It's a traditional monster in that sense.
Yeah, no, it's a very traditional monster. That's the best thing about the movie. All right, is that it's a proper monster movie.
They set up their rules and they stick to them.
Again, a beautiful media box, magnificent media box. In fact, I will even go so far as to say that both Roger and myself watched a 35 millimeter print of Slithis, and we watched the media home video copy of Slithis, and dare we say we actually preferred the media home copy version. So in the horror section under S is Slithis, and on the back of the box, finally, nature unleashes its revenge. From the pollution of our nuclear waste came the killer we couldn't destroy. Our worst nightmares come to life with terrifying, scaly monster Slithis. Nominated for 2 awards by the Science Fiction Horror Academy. Warning. In order to protect yourself from this killer monster, it is strongly suggested that you are prepared with your Slithis survival kit. More on the Slithis survival kit later.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hyperbole. Why don't you explain the story of Slithis to us?
Well, I'll do better. Franklin Browner wrote a little tiny capsule review for it, so I'll just read his review in the voice of Margaux.
Okay.
Spawn of Slithis rises from the muck. I refer both to the eponymous sludge creature of the film and of the film itself. Created on an ambitious micro-budget, largely by below-the-line Hollywood professionals, more attention is given to the day player talent than almost any film this reviewer can recall. The result is occasionally awful, but also occasionally masterful and naturalistic, with an almost unreasonable amount of depth afforded to the most minor of characters. Combine this with a seeming dedication to documenting the city of Venice Beach and the fashions of 1977, and we have a horror film with a kind of grit which recalls the early indie movement and street casting of post-Empire Hollywood.
That's by far my favorite review of this. Because it's just you, all right? Just with a pompous voice.
It's just me with a pompous voice. The secret to Franklin Browner is just me with a pompous voice. Yeah.
You're trying to hide behind William Margaux, but
Margaux is...
In that one, the true Roger came out.
William Margaux is a straw man that stands before me.
Okay, so there's a lot of scientific mumbo-jumbo about how the Slithis came about.
And I'm sure all of it makes sense.
Yes, I'm sure it does, as a matter of fact. It's too dense, all right, to not make sense.
It makes as much sense as, them having ants that grow giant.
Yes, exactly.
So,
but what the movie is a pretty decent little monster movie that takes place in Venice, California. And Venice is shot as well as it's ever been shot.
Yeah,
right?
I have to jump in and say, I was freaking out while watching this movie because from the opening shot, which is a long, slow pan of the city of Venice Beach in 1977, 1978.
And there's a bit of a dissolve there, so it's able to actually cover one end of Venice to the other. This movie, from the beach to the canals.
This movie almost serves as a kind of document of the city at that time. There's a sequence in the movie where when the 4 are coming together to fight the monster, where they're wandering around Venice, and they're basically setting up a shot at every monument in Marina del Rey and the Venice area.
Well, not only that, it even deals with Venice nightlife, Brennigan's, which was a big bar at the time. It actually has the turtle races.
I have to tell you, the fact that they captured the turtle races, the audience watching the turtle races, and this movie has no budget to recreate things. I think I wrote down at one point that when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh my God, Hollywood productions tend to insulate the reality of they produce away all of the reality. This film didn't have that budget. And so they just went to Brennan's and shot Brennan's on like a Saturday night. And it is a gift to anybody who wants to preserve fashion, furniture design, architecture.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's so specific to the city of Venice that it practically almost qualifies as regional filmmaking.
Yeah.
It's not well shot in this sequence, but there's a scene where the Dr. John character, who's like their expert guy that they got working with them.
The groovy nerd they have.
Yeah, the groovy morning DJ nerd that they have. Yeah. All right,
morning DJ.
Well, he has
That's exactly what he's like.
Yeah, he's like did they cast a local DJ from around here?
He played a student in Carrie.
Oh, yeah,
he was in Carrie.
Oh, actually, I remember him in Carrie.
He was in the audience of Black Sunday. Dennis Fault is the actor who played Dr. John.
The two leads, the boring lead guy, and then his really groovy girlfriend, who I really like a lot.
Yeah, she was like Kate Middleton looking. She was fantastic.
Yeah, she's terrific. he shows up to talk about the Slithis, and they're in one of the most perfect 70s Marina Del Rey apartments I've ever seen in a movie.
It may not have been dressed at all.
I don't think
it looked too real.
I don't think it was dressed at all. I think it literally is a situation where they just, this crew member, this director, like, hey, let's go to Sharon's apartment, and shoot it there. Okay,
let's go to Mimi Later's apartment.
Let's go to.
She was the script supervisor.
Let's go to Billy's apartment and shoot that. Every book in the shelf, every record, every bead curtain. All right, just every pottery plant,
every candle
hanging from a yarn,
macrame
hanging thing.
Yeah,
all right,
shag carpets
is just perfect. All right, the couch and the designs on the couch are just. I mean, but that apartment in particular, it's like, oh man, if I was doing a movie in this era, I would just show this scene to the production manager and just say, production designer, just do this, do this.
Yeah.
The monster aspect of it is that there's this creature named Slithis that has gotten some radioactivity from a leaking power plant nearby and has grown into a cross between a creature from the Black Lagoon and one of the humanoids from Humanoids of the Deep. He kind of fits squarely right in the middle.
And he has some kind of suckerfish mouth that sucks flesh right off the bone.
Well, the thing that's interesting about Slithis, though,
Spawn of Slithis,
is we've heard you. Okay? The thing that's interesting about Slithis is the idea that, okay, so he is this gilly amphibian type of creature. That's to be sure.
Slow moving out of water.
But he's not just the amphibian fish that either the humanoids from the deep are or that the Gillman is in Rico Browning's version of the creature. Instead, there's every indication that he's made up of shit and scum.
Yeah.
He's actually kind of close to the smog monster in Godzilla versus the Smog Monster.
Yeah, like a culture more than a creature.
Yeah, there is with all the Slithis stuff in there that's been reanimated, there also is shit and fecal matter that has been reanimated.
It falls out of him as he walks.
And guts and this kind of fish, just garbage.
Yeah.
There is a garbage aspect to the creature.
It's a smog monster.
This creature is out there wiping out people in Venice. And a smarmy guy who's like my least favorite character in the whole movie. All right, he's a journalist,
a journalist teacher in a high school,
and he starts hearing about these murders happening, and he starts putting two and two together, and then he starts trying to investigate them.
And his lovely wife, or is it girlfriend?
Girlfriend.
His lovely girlfriend does not believe any of it.
But they're shacking up.
Yeah, they're shacking up. And she's in love with him. And so she's kind of rolling with it. She's like, oh, whatever.
Well, the guy's not a terrible actor. He's not necessarily good. He's not necessarily bad. He's kind of a putz in the movie. But his girlfriend is wonderful.
Yeah, she's the one who makes me believe that they stay together.
Yeah. And well, not only that, though, even though I think he's kind of a putz, they're kind of sexy together. They're good together. But then he starts meeting these other characters that start becoming like, surrogates for the characters in Jaws. There's the Dr. John character that can figure out aspects about Slithis. And then there's
sort of the Quinn character.
Yeah. And then there's a Quinn character, this like black Jamaican guy. All right. He's got a fishing boat. And so they're all going to team up together and put Slithis down. So that's the monster movie at hand. And it's pretty good.
Yeah.
As far as that's concerned. Yeah. When it comes to detailing Venice, it's very, very good. Where it becomes truly unique, which Roger's written review touches on it, it's got its main character, but there's a plethora,
a kaleidoscope
of secondary characters
that
are all given a shocking amount of depth. A day player will show up and then just in the little bit of dialogue they have, just reveal a character trait or something important about their life. And it's not crammed in, but it's just like, oh, wow. Okay, now you left that character and the character was just a function for 2 seconds, but I kind of know more about that secondary character than I know about the lead character.
I would almost say that I know more about the day player characters in this movie than I know about most characters in any other movie I've seen. I've frequently heard you have a complaint with characters in movies of like, they don't live any kind of life outside of the plot of this film. And you hate it. I always hear you talking about it.
That's true.
And in this movie, that was not going to happen. According to Steven Traxler, the director, come hell or high water, he was going to make sure.
Slithis is not guilty of that. That is happen. For sure.
There's this great character, Bunky.
Bunky, yeah.
Who's this kind of Venice Beach wino. He's a wino. He and this other guy.
There's a wino and Preston.
Yeah, Preston.
There's
and
Preston
these
and
two
Bunky.
Winos, and they're at this little fishing boat that I remember was like in the Venice canals and kind of washed ashore and all wrecked up. They're sitting there. They're getting drunk. One guy's kind of passed out and shit his pants. He's sitting there lamenting into the darkness alone. The whores in Australia weren't any different than in Nam. And why would they be? They're just whores. It's the same everywhere. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
So what's
that small bit of dialogue told me so much about the. I didn't need that in this Spawn of Slithis movie. Yeah. And yet it's given to me.
Okay. Him doing, obviously, it was obviously in Vietnam. Him doing a rant about the horrors in Vietnam. That would be one thing. That fits into the thing and give the non-vets some dialogue. To bring up Australia for just one line in a weird way suggests an entire life.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Because it's like, it's not shorthand for anything else. No, he's ranting and it's one part of a much larger story that we will never hear.
The scene at Brennan's Pub, which is an Irish pub on Lincoln Boulevard in Venice. And I believe it's still there, but I don't know if they still do turtle racing. But
I think that was a thing of its time. All right. You know,
in the 70s, 80s, and I think even into the 90s.
No, I was actually at Brennan's as late as 9 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, there was well, I had some friends. Sarah Kelly used to she lived in Venice and would go to Brennan's all the time.
And so first of all, I'm like having an orgasm that they're showing turtle racing at Brennan's Pub and that someone has documented this and documented it really well. And then these two secondary characters, we've never seen them before in the middle of the movie, this guy and this young lady leave and they drive in his little VW bug and they leave Brennan's and they proceed to have like, you know, a 5-10 minute, what feels like a 10-minute conversation driving to, I think, Marina Del Rey to his boat.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, he's a smoothie. He's a lounge lizard guy. If he's not at Brennan's, he's at Tequila Willie's. If he's not at Tequila Willie's, he's at the Red Onion. And he's a swinging single type guy
in the 70s.
In the 70s,
the pants, everything.
He's got everything except the right car. All right, he's in a shitty blue bug. But, all right, which actually looks cooler now than it did in 1977.
It looks freaking cool in this. In fact, there was a moment when they were driving away and they have this whole dialogue scene that they're talking, and you were like, "This is like a Paul Thomas Anderson movie."
It's exactly like he's a Paul Thomas Anderson character.
Completely.
She's a Paul Thomas Anderson character.
You nailed it when you said that.
And then they're talking. She's from Saskatchewan or something.
Yeah, she's from like somewhere far away.
No, it's like this long, involved story about how she came to Los Angeles.
Yeah, and who she is and what her background is and why she's there. And she's only here for now to set things up, and she's going to go back home and then come back. We learned this whole thing.
And then
about
he's like saying, and like, okay, now.
I saw you get carded several times.
Who was that girl you were with? Oh, no, that's Janet. That's my friend who I'm staying with. And who is that other girl you were with? Oh, well, no, that's Susan. And that was blah, 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 blah.
He's like,
okay, well, I saw you got carded a couple of times.
You must be of age.
Yeah.
But you look pretty young. And she's like, well,
nothing wrong with that, as long as you're not too
We all have fake IDs back in Iowa. But I am 18, although I don't look it, do I? He's like, no, you don't look it, but that makes me the dirty old man. It's like this amazing.
It's really good.
PTA conversation going on in that car. It was like
in every way, shape, and form, it's a Paul Thomas Anderson scene. All right, this entire section of the movie could have been ripped from the guts of Licorice Pizza.
It was an incredible little.
In fact, the lead in Licorice Pizza could be that girl.
Now, the upside to this kind of low budget, almost street casting feel. Is that every now and then you get a bad actor, like the chief of police guy.
He's terrible, yeah.
Who is so bad that he does his best to bring the movie down. And
I don't think he's that.
Well,
I think he's that bad, but I don't think he brings the movie down.
I saw myself in him.
Yeah, well, he's.
So I was like,
because it's such a hammy performance. Yeah. It's you can't enjoy it. No. we're talking about the lead guy who, like I said, is kind of a putz. He comes across as a putz. In fact, there's
More
even
than a putz.
There's even a ridiculous. I don't think he's that bad, but he's a putz. But there is one scene.
Well, I'm going to make my case for more than a putz in a moment.
Okay. There is actually a funny sequence that we're like, what the fuck is going on here? So it's like he's in school, and then
This is the moment. I'm glad you're bringing it up.
Because this is the moment. Yeah. So he has a couple of young kids come up to him. Hey, Mr. Blah, 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 whatever his teacher's name is.
Wayne, Dr. Wayne.
Hey, Mr. Wayne. All right. Listen to this. There's been a murder in Venice. And then so she plays a transistor radio thing for him. And
they're reporting another murder in Venice. He's been interested in.
Yeah. He was like, oh, well, thanks a lot, girls. He kind of
smirks at him.
Yeah. And he goes, well, you were mentioning these murders, and then you were talking about it. Then it shows up here, so I just thought you would be interested.
Thought you'd want to hear.
And he's just like, yeah, okay, thanks a lot, girls. All right, but he's like a dick to them.
Yeah, he's so thinking they walk away. And they're like, okay, thought you'd want to know.
They literally walk away like, what was all that about? And then he turns around and is like, I think I'm going to investigate this. It doesn't give them any credit.
And
whatsoever.
he goes into his obsession, which is investigating this creature.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about it. We were talking about it. And I was like, well, there's only one answer. One, he's got the grooviest van. Mm-hmm. He's got the groovy 1978
okay. Oh, no,
van.
I got to set that up a little bit better. Though.
Okay, set it up.
Because it's like, we haven't seen where he drives or anything like that. So it's just like, Venice is a walking city. So they're usually walking from one place to the next place. But then finally, mid-movie, like deep in the film, he's with his girlfriend, and then they get in the car. But their car is this cool 70s van.
It's like the Mystery Machine.
Yeah, with a big paint job, and they open it up, and it's wall-to-wall
carpet,
like,
wood paneling.
You could tell that there's a waterbed in there, and it's a whole Crown International fucking thing is going on. I go, this is his car?
And that was the key as to why he was kind of treating those students so badly, is because he's banging his students in his van, in his groovy van. That's probably how he got Jeff, the girl, his girlfriend. Her name is Jeff, played excellently by Judy Motulsky. That's probably how he scored her.
No.
He's got the groovy van.
No, you made a good case, because it doesn't make any sense why he blows off the young girls, except like, hey, when I'm with fucking Jeff, you stay away. Here's the thing: there is enough subtext for all the other characters that are reading this subtext into it is not out of place for the movie Slithis.
Yeah, even the dog. Like, remember the guy who's, if that dog has come through the screen door.
That guy's great. The guy who looks like Walter Hill. All right.
Yeah, the Walter Hill character. Walter Hill is in bed, and the Slithis is eating the dogs outside, and his wife wakes him up.
Bursts through the screen door.
And his wife is like, get up and check it. Something's in the house. He's like, oh, it's a dog of yours. And we suddenly realize,
that's it. The pound!
Yeah, this guy has had this ongoing problem with this dog.
Okay, but again, that's on point. Okay, so now even in that situation, him being bitchy about the wife's dog, that makes sense for the situation going on. But then when I say this textual stuff off point is also in there as well, because the wife goes, well, honey, look, put on a robe. You don't have to get dressed completely. Just put on a robe. Have you ever seen me in the 5 years we've been married ever put on a robe? When you bought me that robe, it was a complete waste of money and my time. I will never wear that robe no matter what I do.
I have gotten out of bed and put on my clothes every day for my entire life. I am not going to start wearing a robe. I will get dressed when I get out of bed.
That is a glimpse into their life.
And we were given that with everyone.
With everyone.
Everyone.
And then
everyone.
And then it's just when he sees what Slithis has done.
To the screen door.
To the screen door, like, oh, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
The dog is going.
Oh, that's it, you damn dog.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So I was thinking, why this obsession with the background and the depth of these characters? It's very welcome. But I started thinking about Bill Clark. Okay, so you've worked with Bill Clark.
Yeah.
I've worked with Bill Clark. Bill is a first AD.
Now, he's my man.
Yeah, he's my man too, as far as I'm concerned. He was amazing to work with for me. Because, we're doing this like teen movie, you know, like it takes place in college. And
yeah, he was your first AD on
my first AD,
Rules of Attraction.
Rules of Attraction. And
for everybody playing the at-home game.
And so he would basically, you know, I'm working with the actors and it's the assistant director's job to deal with the background. Mm-hmm. And so he would come to me and he'd say, okay, so here's what I've done. Okay, those two girls in the background, they're in love with that guy, but that guy, he's really in love with her. She's going to be going over here because she likes that guy. And this is, and he'd worked out these complicated interdynamic relationships between these background characters, and he was maintaining it. Mm-hmm. So he had his own stuff going on in the background, his own stories that he was telling in the background of the movie. And all of that, you know, it adds to the layer. And so I thought, okay, so the guy who made this movie, who wrote and directed this film, Steven Traxler, he's a production manager. He's a producer. He's somebody who probably cares deeply about the backgrounds. Mm-hmm. And so I started thinking, well, this is like if Bill Clark had gone out and directed a movie, he'd make damn sure everybody has a full story and a complete story. And I think it's like that kind of dedication that one normally doesn't get with a director who's really just a director. I mean, these are people who are production managers and assistant directors. These are kind of below the line people bringing their skills and talents to this movie. And the things that they care about that they feel are normally deficient because they are deficient in other movies.
They're truly doing on this movie, putting up front and center what they do on normal productions that is just hidden in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
But then even above and beyond all that, just as far as a monster movie is concerned,
sure,
the whole idea of introducing you to victim characters that you get to know for 10 to 15 minutes, and have a sense of them, and they're fun, and you enjoy them.
You care.
And you actually care when the Slithis like shows up and like, you know, sucks their face off.
Well, if there's one misstep in the movie, and I don't even know if it's a misstep because there's moments that I think are kind of brilliant. There was one moment that is so goofy. It involves Bunky when he starts walking and he's doing that long, like I'm going to go take a piss or whatever he's doing. And he starts walking.
Oh, the Roger shot?
And it's the Roger shot where I was just like, oh my God, this shot is brilliant. And the music is brilliant. And it's like, it's like, that's like the music. And it's following him in this crazy long shot as he walks down the canals.
The music is the Achilles heel of the film.
It's the Achilles heel of the film, but it works in that one moment. Now, when the movie begins, here's what I think happened is the composer got a hold of the movie and said, how am I going to balance this out? It's obviously a campy film. Really, that opening with those two kids and the music, like you don't know what kind of movie. And they're throwing a frisbee back and forth and running in the little fat kid running in slow motion.
Yeah, the frisbee sound like the bionic sounds.
And you're watching and you're like, what the fuck is this? But then you also get the Brennan's Pub and the guy the PTA moment. It's this movie. I don't know. This was like a big feast, a big Slithis feast.
Slithis could have a little bit more screen time. I will say that he's off picture a little too much. The end could have been a little better. The fight between them and the Slithis on the boat could have been just a little better if it was just a little longer.
I agree.
Just a little longer.
We would like a little more. And I will say that there were some excellent car stunts from the United Stunts of America.
No, look, you know, just 10 more minutes of Slithis. I have a review for Slithis in Psychotronic magazine, issue number 41. Roger will be happy to know it's listed as Spawn of the Slithis.
Under its correct title.
Body parts are found by kids in Venice, California, and the radio says, "The smell of fear hangs like a stench over the canal." The police are too stupid to realize that a bigger, meaner, uglier version of the creature from the Black Lagoon is responsible. But journalism teacher Wayne, Alan Blanchard, investigates. His young friend, Dr. John, figures out that the slimy radioactive humanoid, in quotes, is the result of oil company experiments. Wayne's girlfriend, Jeff, and a jokingly muscular black diver named Christopher Columbus also help. Chris calls Wayne things like my main man, and he mentions his crib. Humanoids from the deep.
And he mentions his
crib, in quotes. Humanoids from the deep copy this low-budget indie, especially the main bloody slow-mo attack of a woman. In one scene, a stud picks up an 18-year-old at a turtle race. But now, this is great. This is right up your alley, Roger. Homeless, alcoholic, and NAMVET characters are pretty believable.
Yeah.
But the crazy police lieutenant was a bad idea. The cast remained unknown, but Robert Garmacchio was cinematographer of this and Eaten Alive.
Oh.
The same year, Mimi Leder was script supervisor, and Taxler went on to be a producer on John Woo's Windwalkers.
Wow.
Okay, so now history-wise for Slithis. I saw Slithis when it came out. I saw it at the Rolling Hills Twin on PCH. Yeah. And when I went to see it, I was given a yellow card that was a Slithis survival kit.
Oh, there it is. So,
Yes.
so it was a promotional.
It was a promotional thing, not for the video,
but for the
feature film. And so it was this little yellow card, and it had a picture of Slithis, and all this design that's on the cover of the box was on the card. But then you turn the card over, and it has a whole list of things that you need to do in order to survive a Slithis attack.
Wow. Can you remember any of them? Because they're important to know.
I think stay away from the canals.
Yeah.
All right, at midnight. Yeah. Nothing was so clever that it stayed in my mind. However, at the end of it is you stand a better chance surviving a Slithis attack if Slithis knows you're a fan. So thus, it's suggested you should join the Slithis fan club.
Well, that makes sense.
And I joined the Slithis fan club.
You did?
Yes.
So somewhere on record, you're like on record.
In 1978, well, I think is when it came out.
Stephen Traxler has your name on file.
In 1978, I never followed through with shit like this. But for whatever reason, I decided to follow through. I sent some money, and I sent away to be a member of the Slithis fan club. And then a lot of time passed until finally something came in the mail. Nothing is cool.
All the way from LA.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, all the way from Venice. All the way from Venice to Torrance.
Yeah.
It wasn't something cool like a Slithis fan club card or anything like that. But what it was just an autographed picture of the Slithis.
Oh.
It was an autographed picture of the Slithis, and it was really cool because it was the actor who plays the Slithis, like sewn in his suit, and then obviously the guys that came up with the suit.
Yeah.
So all these hippie
guys.
Yeah, so these hippie guys, like these Greg Nicotero looking guys.
Yeah.
All right. These Greg Nicotero hippie looking guys, just all kind of posing with the Slithis. All right. And like they're all smiling, they're all having a good time. So it was standing there in the middle, and goes from Slithis and all of his friends. And it was this cool picture. Now, the reason I was looking for it and I don't have it, and I just remembered why I don't have it, is because we showed Slithis about 6 years ago or 5 years ago at the New Beverly. And so I gave them my autographed picture and my Slithis survival card for them to strike new ones.
Oh my God.
So when we showed it at the New Beverly, we were actually giving away Slithis survival kits, and we had the autographed picture of Slithis.
Fantastic. That's kind of cool that they sent you back the...
No, it was cool.
I bet this was a fun movie to work on. I bet this was a fun film to make.
It was even cool to send away for it. I never followed through on something like this. And it wasn't that I loved the movie that much, but I was charmed enough to follow through. And then I was really... I literally had that picture for 40 fucking years. Gala, your thoughts on Spawn of the Slithis?
Okay, so the Slithis, it takes on organic material that steps in it. So this Slithis is part dog, part human, part fish. So that's kind of where it comes from,
I guess. It's a little like the relic almost.
Yeah, a little bit like the relic.
It's like same zoological.
And part garbage.
Cryptozoological.
And fecal matter.
And part whatever is in the
Which
Venice
he has
canals.
no problem fingering through, it seems.
Yeah.
The Wayne character.
How long is your VHS tape? Like how many
92 minutes.
Okay, so there are two versions of this movie on Amazon to rent. There is a 16 plus version at 87 minutes, and there is an unrated version at 91 minutes.
Well, I've got a minute more than that.
So I watched the 16 plus version at 87 minutes.
No, this is actually very interesting. Hold it for a second. Okay. Media home video was never the one to we'll get it down to
exactly right.
We'll get it down to the quarter of a second.
How long was that? I don't know. 75 minutes.
Well, Jim Sheldon would be starting his clock at the beginning of each and every movie. He doesn't believe in any of that running time bullshit unless he actually times it himself. Yeah. All right, so on the front, it literally says on the front, running time 92 minutes. However, on the cassette itself, it says 86 minutes.
Okay,
Ooh.
so
I mean, I've never seen that before. Where the cassette itself is different than the box.
That's bizarre.
So I wonder.
Very media.
I wonder which one we all saw. Like, if we saw the same version, if we saw a different one. I saw the 87-minute 16+ version because 4 minutes counts to me.
Yeah.
When it comes to a movie, so I'll always pick a shorter version.
You can also watch this movie for free on YouTube, and I'm sure it's pretty much the media home video cassette.
There's also a Code Red Blu-ray available with a limited edition slipcover that was pretty cool looking for any of those fans of Slithis out there.
Well, I'm a big Code Red fan, so like any cool movie that comes out in Code Red, I'm
and it was
totally
a really, really cool slipcover. So I really wanted more of the monster in the movie. I feel like if you go into this movie expecting like you're just going to get a straightforward monster movie, you're kind of going to feel a little let down because it's not like you don't just get the Slithis all the time.
Well, here's the weird part about that is I can imagine you feeling that while you're watching the movie. But when the movie's over, the Slithis has made a really good impression. Yeah. And so I think back on it being a real fun monster movie.
I think back on it, yeah.
To be perfectly honest, from my perspective, if I had nothing but that 18-year-old girl and that guy in the VW Bug going to his boat with his little temple to himself, that little altar to himself that he has with the little, because he's so into himself that he's got like a little candle lit altar in there. I could watch a whole movie about those characters, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. I could watch that movie. I would really enjoy that movie, actually.
I could watch Licorice Pizza, directed by Steven Traxler.
Yeah, that's okay. Now you're talking. I'm in. I'm there.
That's the thing about the movie is that it's like, if you go in expecting like Slithis or Spawn of Slithis, you're going to be a little let down maybe while you're watching it. But the best part about the movie are all of these weird characters. My top 3 favorite ones were the cop with a cold.
The cop with a cold.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that guy was great.
Yeah.
That guy's terrific.
If I hadn't been working overtime because of this whole murder thing.
Because I watched this movie with my mom.
I know everything about that cop.
Yeah, I watched this movie with my mom. My mom was like, so, like, did the Slithis give him a cold? I was like, I don't know.
No, it's just character.
We just know about that guy.
Yeah. I actually wrote down, I liked the over-the-top police chief guy.
Oh, God.
But I don't know if I liked
all
him.
Credibility you were doing so good, Gala.
I don't remember.
You were doing so good.
I actually kind of enjoyed it because I just felt like it was
He's
so
in his own
wacky.
movie.
It was so over the top.
The problem is,
we've seen guys steal movies by doing scenes like that.
We
like
have.
The fat guy in the Romero movie. He wants to be that guy.
Yeah. He's trying to be that guy.
Yeah.
And I wish they had that guy. That guy is a genius.
That guy's
the guy from The Crazies.
Yeah.
He is amazing. Logic. Science.
They people, they die,
logic,
and they kill. And they get up, and the people they bite, they get up and kill.
The people they kill, get up and kill.
And then the other character
Logic.
really... Oh, God.
Logic. It must be logical. Must be calm. Logic.
And then the other guy I really liked was the man who hates night robes.
Oh, that guy, the Walter Hill guy.
I just thought the Walter Hill guy was so funny because that's kind of when I started realizing, okay, the characters in this movie are just like over the top wild. It's going to be fun. And that was the guy. When
every time I'm gonna laugh for the rest of my life, just imagining him seeing the door. All right, after complaining about the fucking dog, and they go, "Oh, that does it!
Yeah, that does it! The dog is going
over here!
Yeah, over!
Out of here!
Dog is out of here!"
And I'm so glad these auxiliary characters exist because I find the main guy like really sleepy-eyed and bumbling. Mm-hmm. I don't really like him as a character. So to have all these colorful people like the street bums, I love the guys that like when he's trying to go get information for the guy that's like in a mirror room with like a disco ball. And,
no, that's mirrors. Bunky. That's Bunky. That's Bunky when he's, who turns out Bunky's not homeless. Bunky has a little crash pad that he lives in. It's Preston who's homeless.
Yeah, Preston lives in the boat.
And,
Why do we know this?
And Bunky.
Yeah,
Bunky,
we spent 15 minutes with them. Yeah. We actually know their situation.
Bunky is a vet.
I mean, Bunky
he gets money from the VA, and he has a little crash place that he lives in.
Bunky obviously has a passport. He went to Australia.
Yeah.
The guy guys that he gets the information from to go find Bunky, I love those guys because they're just sitting around. They're like, well, yeah.
That is like street casting straight out of like a Sean Baker film. Like that is those are Venice guys.
Those are real Venice bums.
Yeah, those guys. And they start riffing on him.
Yeah, they start riffing really
on his
hard.
wardrobe, like and his hat. And they're like, they start making fun of him. And I get the feeling that
where's the Panama hat? He's trying to blend in.
He's trying to blend
doing
in
a
and be
Beretta.
cool. And also in leading up to that scene, like they do all of this kind of captured footage stuff of, you know, because the police think that it's not a monster. They think it's a cult killing because that was happening at the time in 78. There were all these like cults, you know, hunting people down.
Yeah.
And so they think it's that. And so they have all this footage of them like gathering up real
Cult
footage
leaders,
of them gathering up like Moonies and
the Yogis
Source people, people from the Source, and which was in Venice at the time.
Yeah. And then like just I have to ask, like, what is up with movies from this time period having women named Jeff? Women in cages. Jennifer Gann's character is named Jeff.
Maybe this is like a lost, forgotten female name.
You know, just, you know, like after I became famous, there was that whole wave of Quentins out there. So there was probably some good, famous female Jeff, you know, in 1962.
Whatever. I like this Jeff a lot more than the Jennifer Gann Jeff. So
this Jeff is amazing.
Jeff
She's
is awesome.
fantastic.
Well, you can also
she does the best of making him better. All right, because he's a putz, but when he's with her, I like them more. In fact, even though I think the character of the guy is a putz, I can actually believe that maybe they could have been a couple in real life.
And I think that that's thanks to her, though.
Yeah, well,
no thanks to him.
Well, when he's with her, they have a sexy quality insofar as they're free to touch each other. And they have these little signs of affection with each other that doesn't look like two actors who just got to know each other. You get the impression that they're a real couple. They share a comfortability in their physicality when they're with each other that actually, again, goes a long way to making a subtextual point about the characters.
Absolutely.
The ending I thought was just stupid of Slithis. How they throw him, how they throw him back in. Like you have a bunch of people dead on your boat, and you're gonna throw back your evidence. It was
some bad logic.
That was just the one thing in the movie that just.
I thought that was I don't remember it jumping out to me as incredibly ridiculous at the Rolling Hills Twin when I saw it, or even when I saw it recently. But this time, for every reason you said, but also the idea, well, it's a water amphibian creature. It's dying right now. But maybe if you kick it in the fucking water, all right, where it's from, it'll come back to life. And guess what? Okay, I didn't mind the gotcha ending, though. All right?
I don't mind the gotcha ending.
I don't care about
I just think it's just like dumb that they kick him back in like after all of that.
And by the way, I'm glad the gotcha who got, I'm glad he got.
Yeah, I agree. I got my VHS tape for $29.
Excellent. Wow, good job.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Award time. Okay, so for Best Actor and Best Actress, I will put up, for sure, Henry Winkler.
Henry Winkler is my choice for Best Actor.
For Best Actor. And look, I could give it to Margaux Hemingway, but I really, really, really thought Kim Darby was sensational in The One and Only. So I'm gonna give it to Kim Darby.
I mean, I was actually going to give it to Jeff, Judy Moltulski.
Wow.
Because she actually made me believe that their relationship was soluble. And I think that was her doing that entirely. Plus, I just loved her in the movie. I cared when she fell out of that car, which, by the way, that was a pretty darn good little stunt when that car like kind of flipped sideways.
No, that was good, actually.
I cared for her.
I have no problem. Judy Moltulski.
I'm gonna have to agree with Roger for Best Actress for Jeff from.
Okay, this is starting to seem like a
colluding.
Well, it started to seem disrespectful to Margaux Hemingway.
No, it's not just. I love Margaux Hemingway.
Okay. I just that needs to be said then.
I don't want to be disrespectful to
Margaux Hemingway.
I've made my case why I'm choosing.
I don't want to be disrespectful to Judy Moltulski along the way.
I just found that Judy.
I was hoping you were getting Margaux, so you're the one being disrespectful.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to be disrespectful, though, to Chris Sarandon, because I am going to go with him for my best actor pick.
Well, listen, actually, and I want to say that really, if this were like an Academy situation and we were really getting down to it, I'd have to take into consideration Margaux Hemingway's like dedication and that entire rape sequence, which is really like, I mean, going to the mat. And I agree. And on her first film. Next.
Okay, best supporting actor, best supporting actress.
Best supporting actor is a tough one for me because Hervé Villechaize is fantastic, I think, in The One and Only. And it's only incrementally, and it's only because Hervé Villechaize is a confident, real actor in this movie, whereas John Hatfield as Bunky is probably more of an amateur, a day player brought in. But the depth that he brings to his character and the feeling that he brings to his character, I kind of got to go with John Hatfield.
Okay,
I'm gonna stand by my man John wherever you are.
And I'm assuming the best supporting actress is Mariel Hemingway.
Yeah, Mariel Hemingway is, and that was those two sequences. One, the defense interrogation of her, and then also, and I can't remember who's talking to her, whether it's a nun or whoever.
It's the nun
in that moment where she's talking outside at the school,
it's a sister,
at the school or something, and you can see her child mind trying to wrap her head around all the complex, horrible adult ideas that are happening. And it's just, she's great in it. And then to watch, and then, to see her go on into Star 80 after, like the connection between.
Yeah, and Personal Best. And
she's incredible in this film.
I'm going to have to give best supporting actor to Hervé Villechaize because thank you, Hervé, for lighting up the screen and lighting up the movie for me.
And your life.
And my life. I love Hervé. What can I say? I love Hervé.
Yeah, do you feel it? Are you feeling it? Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Do you feel that?
Get your ass out here.
And then, of course, for best supporting actress, I'm going to have to give it to Mariel Hemingway. She was just wonderful. Children can oftentimes be really annoying in movies. And her performance was, professional, dedicated, amazing. I think she did a great job.
She was nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yeah. And well-deserved nomission.
I have to say, I also want to just give a little shout out, even though it's not always good, but there is one moment that Anne Bancroft does where she's trying to convince Margaux Hemingway to go ahead and prosecute. She's trying to convince her to take the risk, the public humiliation risk to prosecute this bastard.
She was like, well, what should I do? You should convict him for rape.
Yeah, exactly. And there's in the courtroom, when she brings her conviction, you can tell that she's doing the movie because she believes in it.
I actually think it's Chris Sarandon's best moment in the movie is when he's being interrogated by Anne Bancroft, because I think the two actors vibe with each other. They connect, and then that makes that scene work really well.
Some kind of Meisner thing or something.
Okay, so obviously my best supporting actress would be the same as the rest of you. Mariel Hemingway, she's amazing. I am choosing Stephen J. Hogue, who played Rex, the swinger. All right.
Oh, yeah. Stephen J. Hogue. I didn't even know his name.
He plays he's the swinger.
And of course his name is Rex. Rex in Latin means the king.
Yeah.
Of course his name is Rex.
All right. And he's like this wannabe Robert Blake, wannabe Robert Vajero. Yeah. All right. But his outfit is great. His Jufro is great. His tan leather jacket is great. His VW Bug is great. That guy is terrific. And it's very funny that he has this framed picture of himself, set up there. But in a way, I think a case could be made that that's a cheap joke at his expense, because it's still funny. You're going to laugh at it. Yeah. But he's not a one joke character. He's not this super vain, jokey kind of guy. He's not like the Dudley Moore character of Foul Play. Yeah. Kind of, even though he's presented like that. His wardrobe is like that, but he's actually kind of an interesting, deep dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
That belies the self-joke of that photo.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's the toughest one. Best director. A case can be made. All three movies are actually fairly well directed. They all three have their problems, but direction really isn't one of them. Mm-hmm. They're all three pretty well directed for exactly what they are.
You know, I'm going to throw out, although Lipstick is my favorite, I would say Steven Traxler because you can just see the care that's put into the movie. Like, it's evident everywhere.
The love.
The love and the care.
I thought for sure I would have. I'm a huge Lamont Johnson fan. I'm almost such a Lamont Johnson fan that I wouldn't choose Lipstick to give him Best Director. There's other movies to give him Best Director. I thought I was going to pick Carl Reiner because I actually think this is one of the better directed of Carl Reiner's movies. But after everything we've just said about Slithis, I have to give it to Steven Traxler.
I was so close. I mean, Carl Reiner, I love Carl Reiner, but I was like, okay, Lamont Johnson. I mean, I was going to give it to Lamont Johnson. But frankly, after we've talked, Steven Traxler, I'm kind of there also. I'm like, you know what? Dollar for dollar.
Pound for pound.
Pound for pound.
Dollar for dollar. Passion for passion.
Steven Traxler.
Off the beaten Traxler.
Yeah. He was bringing...
Laughing at my own joke.
Kind of dimension.
Don't worry, we're all laughing with you.
I laughed within.
I wish I had left with him.
Yeah, I would say Steven Traxler. Yeah.
It's
despite some of the
it's Steven Traxler's show tonight.
I'm going to say Best City Award.
No, well, for
goes
sure.
to Venice Beach, California. Well represented in this film.
And also in Lipstick.
And in Lipstick, you're right.
Yeah,
he lives in he lives in
Dennis Hopper's house.
He actually lives in, I think, Angelica Houston's house.
Oh, okay.
Because Angelica Houston was married to, I think, a sculptor who had this big art studio right there. And the angle that they have of his apartment looks right down into where that hotel and the coffee shop and everything is now. And so I think it's her building. I mean, she owned the entire building. Venice wins the day.
Best climax, absolutely Lipstick.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Best script supervision. Mimi later.
And even considering that both Lipstick, well, especially Lipstick, had great production design, I still give it to Slithis for their documentary production design.
Their service to humanity and to history.
What about Best VHS box?
Oh, well, that's Lipstick.
Yeah, 100%.
And these are 3 good VHS boxes, all right? But Lipstick wins.
Yeah,
hands down.
I'm going to give it to Lipstick.
With the gatefold.
I kind of like the title treatment on Slithis there on the box.
I love the title treatment of Slithis.
I love the orange.
But I reduced points for 2 separate running times.
Yes, this is a huge black mark on their ability
in fact, I would definitely say that Paramount wins Best Company. All right, and I would never give that to Viacom.
Yeah, shout out.
But in this case, Paramount wins a Best Video Company.
Yeah, I mean, serious shout out to whoever was doing art direction at the company at that time.
Yeah, if you are still alive and you happen to be listening to this show and you were doing the art direction on the Lipstick box, on the one and only box,
anything for Paramount Home Video,
the Little Darlings box,
on their chiclet boxes.
Yes, we appreciate the effort to make a high quality product that you did, especially compared to Warner Brothers. And I think that brings us to the end of.
I don't think you did picture.
What?
I don't think you did Best Picture.
Oh, we didn't do Best Picture.
Oh,
my God. Thank you, Josh.
Ooh.
Okay. The voice of God just came out here and told us that we didn't do Best Picture.
Best Picture.
Go back.
Dun, 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 dun,
Beyond
dun, dun,
and back.
You're not done yet.
You're not done yet.
Okay. I will definitely say, despite all our love for Slithis, I actually think The One and Only was the best movie.
I would understand you saying that, because this is, I also think, kind of a personal film to you. This is a movie you had a really personal connection to.
I think it was not quite as much as you're making it, but yes.
I'm turning this into a thing.
Yeah, I know you are.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, I want to say Spawn of Slithis, but the truth of the matter is I'm gonna say Lipstick.
Okay.
I had that moment in the end, the delicious revenge moment, when you and I we were howling and jumping in our seats off the couch. It was so exciting to watch. And that's what I expect from a movie. I got a lot out of Spawn of Slithis, and I got a lot out of The One and Only. But really, at the end of the day, I think, cohesively, and I've been thinking about it since we watched it, even more so than the other ones.
Oh, good.
Contextually, as one tries to interpret a book or something like that, thinking about what were they doing, what were they saying, and why. And I thought about that more about Lipstick than any of the other films, even though it's just a revenge-a-matic in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then also because we just did Star 80, and though this takes place before Star 80, there's so many weird tangential connections between the two films that...
Well, it was interesting.
I'm going to be thinking about this one for a long time, I think.
Well, you brought up Killer Fish because we watched Killer Fish as a background film because we wanted to see a movie Margaux Hemingway did shortly afterwards. So that movie was made for Fawcett Majors Productions.
Mm-hmm.
So they started a film company together. So all of Farrah's early movies.
And Lee Majors. Farrah Fawcett and Lee Majors.
And all of Lee Majors' early movies during the time of their TV success were all done for Fawcett Major Productions. I'm willing to bet that Farrah Fawcett was offered the role in Lipstick.
I mean, her poster was everywhere at this point.
No, she was a superstar.
She was like a superstar. She was the model, the look, hair, the body.
She was the superstar. So she was offered, all right, I'm sure she was offered Lipstick. But the thing is, the next movie Lamont Johnson would do would be her first big feature film, which would be Somebody Killed Her Husband.
Right.
The movie she did with Jeff Bridges. So that was her next film. But then when Lee Majors is going to do Killer Fish, they cast Margaux Hemingway. They had to think about the idea of Farrah playing that character.
Yeah.
I mean, it's even for their own company. Farrah's reading copies of the script. They had to consider it for a second. Mm-hmm. They didn't go that way, but they had to consider it, but instead Margaux Hemingway ends up playing the character. That's all kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, it's a big circle. My best picture is Lipstick. I mean, I've been thinking about that rape scene. It makes my hands sweat when I think about it. When my friends ask me for a revenge, like a rape revenge movie, I'm going to recommend them Lipstick.
How many times does that happen?
You know what? Happens a lot. And you know what, Quentin? I actually have a vixen.
She's my daughter, Quentin.
Okay, I can believe her asking for it, but you have these other friends that are asking you. I need a good rape revenge movie now.
I actually, inside of my film club, Quentin, I now have a vixen fan club.
Oh, okay, good
from
deal.
People that have gone and found the vixen movie and are now Russ Meyer fans. So anything is possible, but I'm going to be recommending Lipstick. Out of these three movies, when I think about it, Lipstick's the one I'm going to tell people to watch.
Good job. I'll give you a movie of the mind. Chris Sarandon playing the Alan Blanchard role in Slithis. How about that?
Okay, that would have been great.
Yeah.
I would have loved that, actually.
But keep
Jeff.
Keep Jeff.
Yeah. You gotta keep Jeff.
Keep everybody else. Just put Chris.
And add Hervé Villechaize in there, and then you got the best movie ever.
Frankly, if we had just replaced the police chief with Hervé Villechaize, it would have played much better.
That would have been real. Okay, that would have been good. That would have been good. That actually might have been Hervé Villechaize's best performance. Tell me I'm a star. I want to hear it in French. You're a star. That gets our ass out.
Guys, I'm happy to tell you guys, Brennan still does turtle races to this day.
Wow. Josh clearing up.
The voice of God has spoken.
Is it a special day?
It's the first and third Thursday of every month. You can go tomorrow if you wanted to.
The first and third Thursday of every month, turtle racing.
Okay, everybody. That's all for tonight. See you in Radioland.
Be seeing you.
Bye. The Video Archives podcast is hosted by Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery and produced by Josh Richmond and Gala Avery. Our engineer is Devin Torrey Bryant, and our executive producers are Colin Anderson and Natalie Muallim. Find out more about the show by heading to videoarchivespodcast.com. You can also find us on Twitter at Video Archives and on Instagram at Video Archives Pod.
Yes, I'm one of the chosen few.
Have you ever wanted to hear Mick Garris discuss the differences between original source material and the movies they become? Or Joe Russo's favorite gateways into horror? What about author Max Brooks and how he thinks that Minecraft will literally save humanity? Join me, reporter on the beat Gala Avery, as I get to the bottom of these topics on my new show, The Gala Show. In this weekly podcast, guests from Los Angeles and beyond have 30 minutes on the clock to bring whatever topic they want to the mic. So, tune in every Thursday for a new guest with an entirely new topic. The first episode drops October 26th, available wherever you get your podcasts.